Yourself with an accredited tertiary qualification? Stadio Higher Education's distance learning programs will set you up for success. Whether you're balancing work and family or you're a school leaver who must work to support yourself and your studies, Stadio offers access to high-quality, affordable qualifications in law, teacher education, commerce, admin and management, policing, and more. Mid-year applications are now open. Visit stadio.ac.za and register today. Stadio, a new vision in higher education.
The Daily News Diary on SAFM.
And Musa, good morning. Friday, longest day of the year. How are you feeling?
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Some people like to sleep.
It kind of feels like it's ushering in, although it's going to take some time, but it's bringing in the warmer days.
Indeed.
So I'm looking forward to it.
I thought for a moment you were going to say new dawn and I was going to bang my head against something because just done that too much this week. All right. Quite a busy week. We're still expecting cabinet negotiations. What's on your diary this morning?
Yeah, true. The appointment of John Hlophe as the chief whip of the MK party in Parliament yesterday. The Freedom Front Plus yesterday also becoming the latest political party to join the Government of National Unity, saying the party will contribute to the drafting of better policy directions to get the country back on the right track. And the Government of National Unity is now made up of the 7 political parties, which include the ANC, the DA, the IFP, the PAC, the PA, as well as Good Party. And today, the National Assembly of the 7th Parliament will have its first program committee meeting, and the meeting is expected to confirm a date for the opening of Parliament. There is speculation that the President is expected to make his cabinet announcement today, but the ANC Women's League also keenly waiting on the President to announce his new ministers and deputy ministers, but the League have voiced its disappointment at the appointment of only 2 female premiers, that being in Limpopo and the Free State, and they're not happy at the possible regression of women representation in the 7th administration.
There's a lot to look for with this cabinet thing because there's so many variables. You just can't actually, I think making predictions is actually very difficult to do.
True. In the Eastern Cape, Premier Oscar Mabuyane is expected to announce new members of the Executive Council for the 7th administration, and the South African Human Rights Commission is taking the suspended DA MP Ronaldo Gous to the Equality Court, and that's for his alleged hate speech and racist utterances. The Commission saying that given his position as MP, his alleged actions carry even greater weight and responsibility, as it is expected of him to basically uphold and embody the principles that's enshrined by the Constitution, including human dignity, equality and non-discrimination. In court, the EFF leader Julius Malema says the case against him and his bodyguard Adrian Snyman in this London regional court is a political witch hunt and abuse of limited state resources. Malema and Snyman, they facing charges of discharging a firearm that was during the party's 5th anniversary celebrations in 2018. Details on what transpired in court yesterday, and the NPA also speaking on the matter. And lastly, the state will continue to present its case in the fraud and murder case of a Shoshanguve couple that's accused of killing the woman's former boyfriend and allegedly using his body to claim about R500,000 of life insurance. Sibusiso Mahlangu and Lirato, they are on trial in the Pretoria High Court and accused of conspiring to murder Sibusiso Sitebe.
And Musa, thank you very much indeed. We'll be listening on the radio 19 minutes after 6.
First in the morning, SAFM Sunrise with Stephen Grootes.
Your weather for the latest sunrise of the year actually means it's the shortest day, not the longest. Sorry about that. Your weather today, Tshwane fine, 6 and 22. Johannesburg fine, 4 and 20. Vereeniging fine, 2 and 21. Bombela partly cloudy, morning fog and drizzle, 12 and 23. Polokwane partly cloudy, 5 and 20. Mahakeng fine, 8 and 22. Vryburg fine, 8 and 24. Mangaung fine, 3 and 22. Kimberley fine and windy, 7 and 24. Uppington fine and windy, 13 and 27. Cape Town partly cloudy in the morning, becoming cloudy from the afternoon. Scattered showers and rain. A moderate to fresh northerly wind, 13 and 19. George partly cloudy in the morning, becoming cloudy from the evening. A light northerly wind, 13 and 21. Gqeberha partly cloudy at times. A moderate northwesterly wind, 12 and 26. East London partly cloudy at times. A moderate northeasterly, 14 and 29. eThekwini partly cloudy. A moderate to fresh northerly wind, 15 and 25. Richards Bay partly cloudy. Isolated showers at first, otherwise fine. A moderate to fresh northerly wind, 16 and 26. And Pietermaritzburg, morning fog patches, otherwise fine, 9 and 26.
Hey, what's up, South Africa? Mzansi, Msizi Shembe from Metro FM. Do join me on Saturday at 6 p.m. as I'll be on Deal or No Deal Celebrity. Looking forward to see you there.
Do you remember the cool times of Sports Buzz?
Coming up on Sports
Buzz used to be the go-to young people sports show in Mzansi Africa. The multi-sport award-winning youth magazine show. A great platform that profiled young athletes and teams. The glory days of Sports Buzz are back in a newly revamped youth sports show with a wow vibe. Goats like us. Yeah, Goats. Greatest of all time. Experience youth excellence in sports. Profiling of active athletes and teams. Latest news in the world of youth sport. The active voice of school sports and promoting a healthy lifestyle among the youth. Do not miss out on Goats Like Us. Your front row seat awaits you every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. # Goats, greatest of all time. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international news.
21 minutes after 6, good morning. Well, more important developments in the conflict between Israel and Hamas. In the last 48 hours or so, Israeli forces still dropping bombs on the central parts of the Gaza Strip, killing Palestinians who've been forced to move first to the south in Rafah and then out of Rafah as Israeli operations moved there. Then this week, the leader of the group Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, said that the island of Cyprus could end up being part of the war, after Israel said an all-out war with Hezbollah was getting very close. Zinat Adam is the executive director at the Afro-Middle East Center. Zinat, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Stephen.
Firstly, the operations in central Gaza at the moment, and that's again leading to the deaths of civilians there. Is it clear what Israel's actual aim is? Are there particular targets in these areas that it's trying to look for?
There's been an extreme escalation in the last couple of days and certainly in the last few hours. And this is across the entire Gaza Strip, so the north, the central of Gaza, and also in Rafah. And this is simply an escalation from the Israeli side, in contrast to what the world is telling it to curb back and to halt and to have a ceasefire. The idea here is that they want to completely eliminate Hamas, which doesn't seem to be possible at this stage. And certainly there are a number of people within the Israeli military who are also speaking out, including the Israeli military spokesperson, saying that Hamas is an ideology, so it doesn't seem possible to be able to completely eliminate it. Meanwhile, we've had U.S. Secretary Blinken on his tour of the Middle East, particularly after the Security Council resolution was passed, and his repeated statements indicated that Israel was on board and then Netanyahu had signed up with this idea of the ceasefire. But Netanyahu's statements have been in contrast to what Blinken has been saying. And in the meanwhile, you've got Hamas saying that they want amendments to that ceasefire agreement as well.
Okay, the threat from Israel this week that there could be a total war, I think an all-out war might be a better translation with Hezbollah. Now we've got Hamas, what Israel says is its conflict with Hamas in Gaza. Hezbollah's on the territory on the other side of Israel, and you'll explain the geography better than I can. Why is this threat being made against Hezbollah now?
So Hezbollah is a political party within Lebanon. And if we recall in some of the early instances when the situation in Gaza escalated originally, Israel had attempted to draw Hezbollah into the fighting with sporadic attacks across the border into Lebanese territory. And this continued and perpetuated ad hoc as the war intensified. For a long time and for the first few months, Hezbollah's leader Hassan Nasrallah had held restraint, and he held numerous public events where he indicated that Hezbollah would not be drawn into the war in Gaza and that the resistance of the Palestinians led by Hamas and Islamic Jihad would continue their fight without the need for Hezbollah to get involved. But as Israel has incurred deeper into Lebanese territory and continued to target Lebanese targets, Hezbollah has responded very strongly. We saw this week that they even issued footage of their drone footage indicating that they know exactly where Israeli military targets are and that they have the capability of attacking these. This also escalates in the sense that you've got an Iraqi resistance that has also targeted certain elements within Israel. And you've got the Iranians who are saying that if there is this escalation with Hezbollah, then a full-out war is not off the table.
Sure. And Hezbollah's threats against Cyprus. Cyprus is an island. It's part of the EU. It's a little way away from all of this. Why is it now involved in this?
Well, Cyprus has opened its territory to Israel to facilitate a response to Hezbollah and to facilitate attacks from that region. So this is a warning to Cyprus. Concurrently, we're also seeing that the Americans are announcing that they may be sending some of their warships to the region. So Hezbollah is issuing a warning that any territory or any country within the region that is used for attacks into Lebanon and to intensify the war would become a legitimate target.
Zinat Adam, thanks very much indeed. Executive Director at the Afro-Middle East Centre. 27 minutes now after 6 o'clock.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai, good morning. Friday.
Yes, short day.
Short day, short cricket. Heinrich Klaassen.
Yes, and he's praising South Africa's adaptability, highlighting our resilience and strategic growth, crucial as they face England next this afternoon. And he's confident that they can advance in the T20 World Cup despite some tough early games against Sri Lanka, Netherlands, Bangladesh and Nepal. The Proteas secured a more convincing win over the USA. Klaassen scored a 36 not out in the death overs, praising the team's ability to adjust and under challenging conditions. He highlights their readiness in the upcoming high-scoring match against England in St. Lucia this afternoon.
Yeah, they had an indifferent tournament with a lot of rain and rain-affected games, but they're an extremely dangerous side. They've got a lot of match winners, and we need to be aware of that and play our big moments better than what they do. But cricket is a funny game, like we saw this whole World Cup so far. So hopefully we can continue our trend of playing good cricket under pressure, and it will be fantastic if we, as South Africa, can go 2 out of 2 and hopefully close the spot for the semi-finals for ourselves.
More cricket action saw Surya Kumar Yadav smashing a 27-ball 50 as he led India to a 47-run victory over Afghanistan during the Super 8 stage of the T20 World Cup. Took place at the Kensington Oval. India posted 181 for 8 in their second-round Super 8's opener. Afghanistan were dismissed for 134 off the last ball. India and Afghanistan will face Australia and Bangladesh in their remaining group fixtures, with the top 2 teams making the semi-finals. Soccer action. England failed to guarantee their place in the knockout stage of Euro 2024 after Morten Yilmaz's spectacular strike, earning Denmark a 1-1 draw. England remain on top of Group C, 2 points clear of Slovenia, who they face in Cologne on Tuesday. In another match, Luka Jovic scored with a last-gasp header to snatch an equaliser for Serbia in a 1-1 draw with Slovenia, keeping both teams in contention for a place in the last 16 of Euro 2024. And rugby now, SA Rugby reporting a shortfall of 6.8 million rand before tax in 2023 because of a significant game-related expenditure. The result was described as a major achievement by CEO Riaan Oberholzer at SARU's annual meeting in Cape Town against a global rugby landscape in which many other national unions had reported significant losses. And tennis action, fresh from winning his ATP Tour title on the grass in Stuttgart, Britain's Jack Draper claimed the biggest scalp of his career with a straight sets victory over Carlos Alcaraz at the Queen's Club Championship. Draper overcame the defending champion and reigning Wimbledon champion 7-6-6-3 with a dominant performance in which he did not lose a service game. More sport on Sunrise, top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Zai, thanks very much indeed. Do appreciate the time. More on the under the incredible increase in fires on Table Mountain in the next half hour. You're there, SFM, leading the conversation, 6:30.
Good morning. In the headlines, impeached Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe is the designated leader for the Umkhonto weSizwe party in Parliament. Hlophe confirmed to SABC News that he will be leading the country's third largest party in the National Assembly. The FF Plus says it decided to join the Government of National Unity so that it can help to restore hope to restore and rebuild South Africa. The FF Plus in a statement says it will contribute to the drafting of better policy directions to get the country back on the right track. And the Department of Health says it has received a batch of Mpox-specific treatment, also known as T-Pox, for treatment of patients who experience severe health complications as a result of the Mpox disease. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. The N3 highway in Joburg, never too far away from major problems, any time of the day really. And this morning, we've got a broken down truck inside Galuli's interchange. So the N3 North wanting to ramp out to the airport, which is important this time of morning. A lot of traffic on that particular route. N12 East, R24 East, if you like, getting through Galuli's off the N3. That's where the obstruction is, right inside the interchange. Traffic already backlogging from as far back as the cement factory, looking heavy. Vehicle fire, plus a couple of breakdowns, plus some very heavy mist around the Bobsfontein exit area of the R21. All the obstructions on the southbound side, the airport-bound carriageway, but of course the mist is lingering across both carriageways, so drive carefully and watch for those obstructions. Also the roadworks at Clayville already slowing traffic. Airport-bound, very misty out through Gauteng, Mpumalanga border territory along the N12, Delma Street, Etwatwa, and the Davyton area. Again, just extra caution required out that side as well. Now, if you're coming out of Newcastle on your way to Ladysmith, there's been quite a big truck crash just before the Dunhazer exit on the N11. Ladysmith bound, so southbound traffic on the N11 being quite badly held up just south of Newcastle. At Cape Town, bit of traffic pressure on Stellenbosch Arterial, moving out of Delft towards Belhar, and Danafontein Road up from Mannenberg into Heideveld towards the N2 bridge. Quite a backlog going on there as well. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
Intalingla Chela, good morning.
Morning, Stephen. I hope you're well.
All good. How are the markets on the shortest day of the year?
Well, the tech rally has run out of steam, unfortunately, dampening overall market sentiment. And we saw a turnaround in markets with the US closing the day in mixed territory. This after the S&P 500 pulled back from its record gain. Now, over in Asia, markets also slowing down, pulling back from 26-month highs. These shares are mostly in the red, with traders digesting Japan's inflation numbers. Back at home, we saw a similar trend play out, with the JSE losing momentum after a week of strong gains. The all share shared 0.8% in yesterday's close. This was mainly fueled by a slump in the financial 15, down 1.6%. In currency markets, there was also some weakness, with the rand tanking to that 18 rand level again, but it's since strengthened, kicking off the day on a good note. It's currently sitting at 17.96 to the dollar.
And then China's laws on artificial intelligence development, they're having an impact on Apple.
That's right, Stephen. Now, earlier this month, Apple unveiled its AI strategy, saying it would partner up with OpenAI to launch AI tools on its devices, particularly the iPhone and the MacBook. Now, as the rollout begins, Apple noted that China's stringent rules on AI pose a big challenge, as OpenAI's ChatGPT is banned in the Asian country, further delaying the rollout on that front. Now, Apple is looking for another partner in China, and now this move comes as it also tries to fight competition from local players like Huawei and other Chinese smartphone makers who have been chipping away at Apple's market share in the region as they're beefing up their AI-enhanced devices and gaining ground on the tech giant. And so the group is working around quite fast to think of ways to regain market share and establish prominence in that region yet again.
And then the Bank of England keeping rates unchanged.
Well, as expected, of course, the Bank of England standing pat on rates yet again. Rates remain at a 16-year high of 5.25%. Interestingly, the minutes from the bank's rate-setting committee signaled a significant change in tone, indicating a majority could vote for a cut when they meet again in August. This was also expected, especially after yesterday's inflation print showed that prices eased to 2%, that being the central bank's target. Now, the BOE's latest decision comes in the run-up to the general election as citizens prepare to take to the polls next month. And there's been leaders battle it out with policies for the future of the UK's economy, trying to convince citizens that they have plans to deal with the cost of living crisis. Now, when asked about the election, the bank stressed that the timing of the election was not relevant to its decision. So it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out come the 1st of August.
And thank you very much indeed. Back in an hour, more business news through the day here on SAFM, 24 minutes to 7.
There's sponsoring a news feature. Then there's helping your clients make the news. Search Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking to see how far they can take your business.
Africa Update on SAFM Sunrise, a continental overview of current African affairs.
Russ Advocate Sipho Mantula, good morning.
And Jumbo Africa to the listeners.
Presidential and parliamentary elections in Rwanda. I wonder who will win.
Stephen, actually, tomorrow it will be the beginning of the presidential and parliamentary campaigns that will run for 3 weeks until mid-July as Rwanda decides. There are 3 candidates so far. Paul Kagame is saying that, Stephen, he has achieved a lot in health, infrastructure, agriculture, and he's challenging himself and all Rwandese of what he has done so far. The second candidate, Frank Habineza, from the Green Party, has been a candidate before, Stephen, 2017 and 2018. He's still promising as well that he will change the lives of the people of Rwanda. The third being Philippe Mpayimani, also being was once in the presidential election campaign in 2017, promising saying something new is coming. So there are 3 presidential candidates who are at the spotlight on the elections in Rwanda, Kigali, in July.
And then in Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou, their military leader, denying claims of a mutiny.
Stephen Traore, he was for the first time speaking to the national media yesterday, denying that there was a mutiny within the army following the attacks near to the border of Niger. There have been other allegations, Stephen, that there was an attempted coup in Burkina Faso on the 12th of June. But he has went on media and denied that, and he said it is still a group of irregular armed groups that they still want to cause tension in Burkina Faso, but all is under control in Ouagadougou.
And then in France, the Senegalese president is there, President Faye, and particularly talking about vaccines.
Stephen Faye is visiting France in the invitation of Emmanuel Macron, where there's a global forum for vaccine sovereignty and innovation. But one of the key issues, Stephen, is that when they met yesterday, trade agreements, the French military presence in Senegal was one of the top issues. Remember that Ousmane Sonko has been challenging France that they need to leave the Sahel region. But the meeting of yesterday was important because it was the first trip outside Africa by Basmia Diomaye Faye. He has made visit within the region of Africa, but for the first time, he visits France to engage on what others are saying. It was a turning point on the Franco and Senegalese relations.
And there's a big military conference in Botswana, and this really gets to the heart of the rivalry between the US and Russia in Africa.
That's quite true. This is an AFRICOM, Stephen. The U.S. Africa Command for the first time will be in Botswana next week, where it's expected to have 40 African countries. They call it the top commanders. The Africa Chief of Defense Conference that will be held in Gaborone, to be hosted for the first time since inception in 2017. The core of the meeting, Stephen, they say they are forging partnerships, they are collaborating on issues of intelligence, security, and as we know, as you said, that the U.S. has been pushed out of Chad and Niger, and that's where Russia came in, and that's when there's a tension between U.S. and Russia. But U.S. is coming to the Southern Africa. It's not. We don't know whether Zimbabwe will attend, Stephen, because Mnangagwa has already said that Zambia is one of the countries that is selling out to the SADC region. It means Zambia will also be part of this Africa Defense Commanders meeting in Gaborone next week.
And then in our archives, this day, 21st of June, 2021.
Stephen, just 3 years ago, very important in our archives, I think Zach Khan will remember Cyril Kobus, who passed on this day at the age of 79. Cyril Kobus, Stephen, you will be shocked. There's something good about him, that he was involved in the struggle in the country. He was, they say he even took part in the exhumation and bringing back of the body of Tsietsi Mashinini of 1976. He worked with Abdul Bamji. And finally, Keza Mutaung said that this was one guy who was intelligent. He said he always used to enjoy the use of big words in their engagement with Cyril Kobus, coming from Keza Mutaung. Asante sana SG as we're still leading the conversation, SAFM, observing the youth month.
Russ Advocate Sipho Mantula, thank you so much. Back, of course, on Monday. More news from our continent through the day here on SAFM, 20 minutes to 7.
There's listening to the news. Then there's making the news. Grow your business into the next big thing with Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking. When you choose Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking, you get access to our business solar loans. Accessing our business solar loans means you get connected to the right supplier for your business and the most feasible tailor-made financing solution. And that financing solution means 8,760 hours of uninterrupted power for your business, sourced directly from the African sun. You see, there's going green. Then there's going green with us. Search Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
That's the number this morning. Lasiba on the line from Khobakwani. Lasiba, hi, good morning. The new government, do you think it's go for it?
Yes, good morning to yourself, Stephen, and your producer. You see, Stephen, all of us in the country, especially we, the black, the poor people, one first, the National Executive Committee of the ANC give instruction that everybody should be invited in the Government of National Unity. We're very much hopeful and hoping that for the next 5 years it's going to be better. But now the attitude that is coming out from most big role players, the materialists, is very disappointing. Because people must understand, Stephen, we, the poor people, we know that we are going to compromise a lot of things, especially the 350, national insurance, health. We know that it's going to be very difficult for this administration because it's not ANC alone, but we are taking the blame. Because ANC has done everything. It was every part of the country saying that black people, poor people, it is important to make sure that this liberation movement continue to govern, because once you lose power, these are the challenges that we are going to have. Now we are having PAC just came out the other day. Now we just announced that the Freedom Front Plus, and I know one of the conditions of the Freedom Plus, it will be the Orania in the Eastern Cape, where it will be taking us backwards. The Women's League, I hear that the Women's League, they are also complaining, but the Women's League must also understand that, like ourselves as poor people, it has to compromise. We can't blame the president or the NEC for having only two women as the provincial premiers. We've got one in Limpopo, we've got one in the Free State. And here in Limpopo, where I'm coming from, Kopira Matuba did not come as a premier because she's a woman. She went all the processes. I was member of the branch who nominated her to become number one in the list. The PEC also, as it nominated the three names, Kopira Matuba also emerged. The same with the Free State. And lastly, Stephen, the issue of step aside, we still wait to see how the NGO, the National Government of National, is going to implement. Because from the ANC, we know that if you are corrupt, charged, criminally charged, you step aside. But we don't know other cabinet ministers that will be coming from the DA, particularly IFT, what's going to happen. Once they charge, they will be saying constitutional right, that person will remain in cabinet. Those are some of the nitty-gritties that they need to be ironed out before we can fully say the Government of National Unity is in charge. And then lastly...
sorry, Lasiba. You said lastly twice. I need to end it there. I'm sorry, Lasiba. We're going to run out of time, but I think your point was made. And I think important points too. There's a lot that's going to happen, and I think there are concessions, and I do worry about the attitude of people in all of this. 16 minutes to 7.
Get private banking levels of service from an Auto & General private advisor. This exclusive service is perfectly tailored for customers with more to cover but less time to spend covering it. If you have more than a car to insure and your combined cover is valued at over 1 million rand, you qualify for this personalised service. Enjoy after-hours assistance, proactive policy management and more when you apply at autogen.co.za. Auto in general. Never not there. A&G is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Set in a gleaming new high-tech trauma center that deals with only the most serious cases, an emergency medical team must battle through the crucial first hour of care to save lives that hang in the balance. Each distinctive case is told with a thrilling intensity and nail-biting urgency as the team work on the very edge of the medically possible. This is a medical drama like no other. This is Critical. Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 11 June. Channel your best drama with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
SAFM invites young people between the ages of 18 and 35 to take over the airwaves this Youth Month. All you have to do is send a WhatsApp voice note or text to 061 410 4107 or email info@safm.co.za and the show you would like to co-host, telling us what are the two compelling issues facing our 30 years of democracy, and we could be calling you. Terms and conditions apply.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
14 minutes to 7. Good morning. The Table Mountain National Park says there's been a big increase in the number of fires on the mountain this year. There are 120 fires in the last year. That's 35 more than in the year before. Justin Buchman is the fire manager for Table Mountain National Park. Justin, good morning.
Morning to you and to your listeners.
What normally causes fires on Table Mountain? Why have there been so many this year?
Well, we've had a combination of factors. This year there has been an increase in fires, particularly in terms of vagrancy, but we've also had a spate of fires in the early part of the fire season that can be attributed to arson as well. So it's been a combination of that. And then we ended the fire season with a whole lot of natural fires. We had lightning strikes over the sort of April-May period, which resulted in 5 fires in 22 hours. So it's been a combination of factors that contributed.
There's a huge need for living space in Cape Town. Are people trying to live on the mountain? Are they using fires for cooking? Has that been an issue?
Yes, that has been. That's been for some time, but it's been particularly prevalent this year. And you kind of notice a trend as soon as there's a move to displace vagrancy out of particular suburbs, then inevitably in the surrounding areas in the mountains you end up with cooking fires getting out of control. So that is a continuous problem which we're trying to work together with the city on.
I mean, the city I think is preparing to now evict people who've been living on the streets in the CBD, on the pavements in the CBD for some time, and I think this might happen in the next day or so. I mean, that's likely to then lead to what you're talking about.
That has the potential. We are looking at and monitoring that quite closely, yes.
Are there any other strategies you can use to try and suppress fires? I mean, you keep a very close watch. We're all aware of that. Some of them, you can't stop a lightning strike. But is there anything else you can do? And obviously no one's going to suggest removing the fynbos or anything like that.
Well, we've got a continuous program that looks at invasive plants because a lot of the fires, the extreme behavior is driven by invasive vegetation. So that program's ongoing. We need to ensure that our fire breaks are in place this coming fire season. They were in place last season, but it's one of those continuous things which help us significantly. And this winter, we're putting a lot of effort into high-risk areas, removing the vegetation, the alien vegetation that's been cleared through stack burning. So we want to try and really ramp that up this winter to make sure that we mitigate risk for the coming season.
Justin Buchman, thanks very much indeed. The fire manager for the Table Mountain National Park. And you know how often this is a huge problem. You can see some of the issues that lead to fires on Table Mountain at the moment. We'll speak to the Eastern Cape Liquor Board in a few minutes. They're more worried about underage drinking in that province. They're talking particularly around how people are being exposed to alcohol for the first time at family gatherings. I think you find that in all parts of our society. We'll talk about that next.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Update on Joburg's N3. The broken down truck stuck inside Galuli's interchange off the N3 North. Now, it's important because a lot of traffic coming out of Germiston, coming out of Alberton will be on their way to early morning flight connections at the airport, going N3, R24 via the interchange. So you might want to just reroute and look at options through Germiston, or perhaps if you're around Alberton, a reroute through Elands down the N17 up Rondebolt Road and straight into the airport via sort of Boksburg and Jet Park. Avoid the N3. It's a really heavy queue this morning from Elands all the way up to Galuli. And then if you want to get straight through to Edenvale, you'll sort of ease up. But if you're in those left lanes to come off to turn to the airport, you're really in for the long haul to get through there. The obstructions on the R21 in terms of vehicle fire and broken down vehicles around Tembisa are being cleared. The mist is still lingering, so take it easy. Mist out through Davyton, Delmas area along the N12 and other sort of local corridors as well. Major backlog alert if you're driving out of Newcastle to Ladysmith. There's been a major crash involving 3 trucks just approaching the first of the Dunhazer exits. If you're on your way to Newcastle through to Ladysmith, you may well find the road closed, and it is a long backlog of standstill traffic through there at this stage. Cape Town, the N7, northbound, passing Langer up towards Botha Circle. On your way to Epping's, very slow, and there's been a crash coming out of Delft this morning on your way to Belfast. Stellenbosch Arterial, slow at Symphony Way. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Municipal services play a vital role in keeping our city safe, clean, and functional. By paying for municipal services like your water bill, you're investing in the future of the city of Johannesburg's water supply. Paying for your services is not just a transaction, but a commitment to the sustainability of your community. Let's continue to pave the way for a brighter tomorrow, one payment at a time. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water utility that cares.
And we will buy 500 cars, and we will buy 500 more. Just to be the one who buys your car, will come to you and offer more. We buy cars, we buy cars. We buy cars, we buy cars.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Lights, camera, scalpel. Every second counts, and every cut, every thought, every action is critical. Critical. Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 11 June. Channel your best drama with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
At SFM Radio and at Stephen Grootes on Twitter.
8 minutes to 7. You know the number 086 000 2032. The Eastern Cape Liquor Board says there needs to be a much bigger campaign to stop underage drinking in that province. You remember 2 years ago, 21 young people died in the Inyobeni tavern disaster when teenagers were drinking in the tavern. Mkhwebi Msia is the spokesperson for the Eastern Cape Liquor Board. Mkhwebi, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen and the listeners. Thank you so much for having us on your program.
You say there are high levels of underage drinking. I think you say in Mthatha, Buffalo City and Nelson Mandela Bay. Are you able to base that on specific data? Are there ways of knowing how many teenagers are drinking alcohol?
No. We don't have any scientific data, Stephen, to validate that. However, the reports that we receive from these areas and complaints that come from these 3 different areas do indicate to us that there is a problem, including a number of pens down parties that have been reported from the same areas have really indicated to us that there is a problem in these 3 areas. But also the fact that the majority, the bigger proportion of our liquor outlets are based in these 3 cities of the Eastern Cape.
Are you able to respond to this? I mean, maybe send more inspectors to certain areas if you know there's a problem, if you're getting a high number of complaints from a particular place. I mean, that's very useful data. Are you able to, maybe on the odd weekend, sort of saturate a place with inspectors so you can go through the whole area, Friday, Saturday, Sunday and see what's happening?
Yes, Stephen, that's exactly the approach and the strategy that we are adopting as the Eastern Cape Liquor Board, just to focus specifically on these areas through conducting blitz operations using our liquor inspectors and SAPS. So our focus really is more on these 3 areas to ensure that we conduct also regular inspections. But more importantly, I think for us is also to mobilize communities to work with us in assisting us to identify these these areas, because we also rely on the communities. These liquor outlets are based in the communities, and communities would know what is actually taking place in with regards to how they conduct themselves, etc. So we also try our best to mobilize different stakeholders within communities so that they can also become part, of our efforts to promote responsible trading, but also to prevent, underage drinking in these areas.
You make the point that many teenagers are drinking alcohol for the first time at family gatherings. And it seems to me that almost every single person who drinks alcohol is sort of introduced to it for the first time by watching people elder than them drink alcohol. And possibly the first alcohol they ever receive was is supposedly possessed or owned by an older person. I think you find that in all parts of our society, Mkhwebi. I mean, how should we change this? I mean, many parents will say, look, we think that, our child should have alcohol for the first time with us or in front of us or learn from us or whatever it is. Do you think that's the wrong approach?
It is absolutely a wrong approach, Stephen. We really condemn that approach. We condemned that approach. That is why we're encouraging parents to say they must also, start to play responsible role, Stephen, because it is our view that, these young ones would really start to experiment with alcohol within family settings. You would know, Stephen, that in the Eastern Cape we have a number of ceremonies, for instance, during the initiation period and all that, when there will be a lot of ceremonies and all that. And what we're picking up is that there is no supervision during those ceremonies by the parents to ensure that their young ones are not exposed to alcohol. And the reports we are receiving is that, yes, indeed, young ones will start to experiment because nobody cares, about what young ones are doing during those ceremonies. So hence we're saying there is a need for the community, there is a need for families to really start to play a very, very, important and responsible role to look after their kids, to ensure that they don't promote this practice within their family settings. And we're saying, working with traditional leaders and other sectors of society, let's just come together. Let's guard against this, because our argument really is that alcohol is not only accessible, from the liquor outlets, it's also accessible within the family settings.
Mkhwebi Msiep, thanks very much indeed, spokesperson for the Eastern Cape Liquor Board. Well, I don't know how you feel about that. I think many people, the first taste of alcohol is something to do with family. Cousins, I think, are often responsible, siblings, whatever it is. But, I mean, can you remember where you first had alcohol? Can you, when you look at younger people now, where do you think it's coming from? 086 000 2032.
Stephen Grootes on SAFM.
Voyewa, hi, good morning. You want to talk about John Hlophe? He's now the Chief Whip of Umkhonto weSizwe. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. I just want to answer for those that they're surprised why he jumped the ship. Some of us, we listen to the traditional healers. We believe very much what our ancestors say. So there's a traditional healer who predicts everything is happening in the country. He's the one who said about 2 days ago that he has to jump the ship. Mkhweng is the not right person to lead MK. Judge Hlophe must go. That's why he's there.
Okay, look, he's not a judge anymore, but I don't know what you mean when you say jump ship, because I mean he's not jumping off anything. I mean he's an ordinary citizen now, so he's just joining MK. Yeah.
Okay, fine, but he's the one who traditionally he's the one who called him to go to be with MK. But my main point, John, it's about, to live in a rich country. I'm telling you, next year I'm coming to praise my ancestors in Komboti. I'm coming there. Where I live, we live in a fully furnished home, but we have to move out now because the house has been sold with us and we got paid a lot of money. I'm rich, 20,500 euros because they cut. Yeah, because they cut our contract, because our contract was indefinite contract. Yeah. But they want to sell the house because they have to pay us out. They paid us out. So I'm rich. So what I'm trying to say, what they say, we've got the house is fully furnished from the teaspoon.
All right, Ria, quickly, your point?
The point is, they said to us, contribute 100 euros for the cancer. You take everything you want in the house.
Okay, Fayewa, interesting. Thank you. I suspect the story around John Hlophe kind of isn't finished in a way, and I'm entirely surprised. I think that, if you look at the sort of, where options that someone like that would have after being removed from their position, maybe. I don't know. The man will have to speak for himself. Maybe we'll see if he will speak for himself, actually. See if he will actually do interviews is probably what we should do here. You're there, FM, leading the conversation more on the new government, the Freedom Front Plus. Try and speak to the ANC as well about their negotiations. It's 7 o'clock. Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. Now that's good news.
In our top stories, John Hlophe, MK Party's chief whip in Parliament, and FF Plus joins Government of National Unity. Good morning. Impeached Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe is the designated leader for the Umkhonto weSizwe Party in Parliament. Hlophe has confirmed to SABC News that he will be leading the country's third largest party in the National Assembly. However, the 58 MK members who were scheduled to be sworn in the National Assembly's first sitting last Friday did not attend. The sitting saw the election of the Speaker, Deputy Speaker and the President. The 58 seats allocated to the MK Party remains theirs. Hlophe's confirmation that he will lead the party in the National Legislature could signal the imminent swearing-in of MK Party members. The FF Plus says it decided to join the Government of National Unity to help restore and rebuild the country. The FF Plus in a statement says it will contribute to the drafting of better policy directions to get the country back on the right track. It says Parliament's oversight of the executive must also be restored. The party also says it fully agrees with President Cyril Ramaphosa's sentiments during his inauguration speech that South Africa must be restored and rebuilt for the benefit of all its citizens. The Department of Health says it has received a batch of Mpox-specific treatment, Tecovirimat, also known as T-Pox, for the treatment of patients who experience severe health complications as a result of the Mpox disease. The department says the process to secure more treatment, including vaccines, is underway. The country has detected 6 more confirmed cases of Mpox, bringing the total number of cases to 13. Spokesperson for the Department of Health, Foster Mohale.
7 of these cases were confirmed in KwaZulu-Natal, 5 confirmed in Gauteng, and only 1 case confirmed in the Western Cape province. Hand hygiene is one of the effective ways to protect people from getting sick and also prevent transmission of diseases. Hence, people are reminded to always wash their hands with soap and water or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer, especially before eating or touching your face and after using the bathroom.
Authorities at Wilderness Search and Rescue Western Cape say 3 people died in separate incidents over the recent long weekend. The spokesperson, David Nell, says at Platteklip Gorge on Table Mountain, a 55-year-old hiker collapsed and died while on the popular trail. Also on Table Mountain, a hiker died and rescuers assisted the SAPS to recover the body of the deceased. In Greyton, in the Overberg, rescue teams responded to search for a missing mountain biker. His body was found the next day. UNICEF says it's concerned not enough babies in South Africa who have HIV/AIDS get adequate treatment at primary healthcare level. The Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children by 2030 has been meeting in Cape Town to discuss interventions. South Africa has an estimated 50,000 new HIV/AIDS infections among children and young people under the age of 19 annually. According to Dr. Sufangu, who's the Chief of Health and Nutrition at UNICEF, says mothers generally make sure their children get vaccinations, but treatment for HIV often falls by the wayside.
In terms of treatment among HIV-infected children, which the rate is much, much lower when you compare with children and with the adults. So children after born from the parent, from the mother, and then we lost follow-up of the children. Children maybe come to the primary health care facilities for immunization, but they are not come to get the drugs, to use the drug, ARVs.
And finally, the World Health Organization has issued a warning about the dangers of consuming fake versions of the drug Ozempic, which is used to treat diabetes. Counterfeit batches have been seized in the UK, US and Brazil. The BBC's Simon Jones has more details.
The active ingredient in Ozempic, semaglutide, helps patients with type 2 diabetes control the amount of sugar in their blood. But an increasing number of people have been using semaglutides to lose weight because they suppress appetite. That has led to a shortage of what's become known as the skinny jab, creating a ready market for counterfeiters. The World Health Organization has warned that fake versions of the product may contain other medications such as insulin, leading to what it calls an unpredictable range of health risks or complications.
Recapping the top story, impeached Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe is the designated leader for the Umkhonto weSizwe party in Parliament. Hlophe confirmed to SABC News that he will be leading the country's third largest party in the National Assembly. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
And thank you very much indeed. Those were the top stories for this hour. Don't miss out on a possible car insurance saving. SMS out to 30754 for a quote. Outsurance, where you always get something out. Are you shopping around for the best car insurance deal on the market? 46-year-old Zanele got a great deal on her car insurance when she called Outsurance. She now pays only 1,313 Rand to insure her white 2023 Audi Q2 1.4T FSI S-Line Stronach. Get an Outsurance quote and see if you could save. SMS out to 30754 now. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
A very good morning to you. In your SFM Sports Headlines, cricket action to look forward to as the Proteas face England. Both teams vying for semi-final spots in the ICC T20 World Cup. And it's rugby with the Boks. They've hit the ground running for their season opener against Wales. All the details just before 7:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Getting very busy on the M1 South through Midrand, coming into Joburg, a crash at the Buccleuch interchange, pushing traffic all the way back already across all lanes to Allendale Road. That's expected to grow as we go further into this morning until it's cleared at least. Joburg's N3, very heavy today from the N12 Elands interchange in Germiston all the way through to Galulis. It's a really big truck that's stuck as you come off the N3 North and want to get onto the airport highway or the N12 to go east. So all that traffic coming up the N3 wanting to get through towards the east via Galulis, squeezing into one lane, and there's some real pressure on there. Newcastle through to Ladysmith, a major truck crash, 3 trucks involved this morning, blocking the N11, sort of Newcastle down to the Dunhazer, first Dundee exit. That's where the crash is, and it's heavy both directions. Cape Town looking generally okay this morning, light volumes around the city, the M5 a little bit slow going up to Kubo, get a change, the N7 North passing Epping towards Beaufort Circle stays busy. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
SAFM Sunrise. A vivid start to your day.
8 after 7, good morning. You're with SFM Sunrise. I'm Stephen Grootes. Right, many different things moving with the new government. Still no cabinet at this point. The Freedom Front Plus confirming overnight it will join. As you heard in the bulletin, John Hlophe, former judge, not only 2 people in the country I say former judge about nowadays. He's going to be the chief whip of Umkhonto weSizwe. We'll find out more about all of these things. We'll speak to the ANC and Keke Kekana from the NEC, available to speak to you in a couple of minutes. We'll hear from Voter Wessels as well, the spokesperson for the Freedom Front Plus, about their decision to join the new government. And then also, of course, from 8:30, your story of the week. What for you is the main story? What for you is the main development of our times? And I'm sure the coalition government, where things are going, is likely to be one of those. But there are other things happening as well at the moment. You can book your spot now with Mdu and Sansa on 086 000 2032. Good morning. It's 9 after 7.
Hey, what's up, South Africa? Mzansi, Msizi Shembe from Metro FM. Do join me on Saturday at 6 p.m. as I'll be on Deal or No Deal Celebrity. Looking forward to see you there.
Durban is open for business and investment. A large delegation from the United States of America, including captains of industry, business, Investors, finances, decision makers, and high profile leaders will attend the 2024 Resurgence Durban Conference to explore and maximize investment opportunities in Durban. Be part of the Resurgence Durban Conference taking place at the Durban ICC from the 17th to the 21st of July 2024. Durban is forging ahead with its plan of action that is aimed at boosting trade and investments within South Africa, the African continent, and the rest of the world. Businesses must register now to exhibit at the conference. Closing date is the 30th of June 2024. To register for the Resurgence Durban Conference and for more information, visit www.resurgenceconference.org.
SAFM Youth Month Takeover. SAFM invites young people between the ages of 18 to 35 to take over the airwaves this Youth Month. All you have to do is send a WhatsApp voice note or text message to 061 410 4107 or email info@safm.co.za. Tell us which show you'd like to co-host and what the two compelling issues facing our 30 years of democracy are, and we could be calling you. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you think you're paying too much on your car insurance? 56-year-old Dylan said no to sky-high insurance premiums. He's now insured with Outsurance and only pays R756 a month to insure his white 2023 Haval Jolion S. To follow in Dylan's footsteps, simply SMS out to 30754 for a quote. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer and FSP, T's and C's online.
First in the morning, SAFM Sunrise with Stephen Grootes.
11 after 7, good morning. Confirmation overnight. The Freedom Front Plus has now agreed to join the new coalition government. That means there'll be 7 parties in the government, or 7 so far. The ANC, the DA, the IFP, the Patriotic Alliance, the Good Party, the PAC, and now the Freedom Front Plus. Also, President Cyril Ramaphosa expected to announce a new cabinet soon. Being reported this morning, the ANC and the DA are meeting to discuss the makeup of that new cabinet. Due to speak to the ANC on that in a few moments. Let's start with Voter Wessels, the national spokesperson for the Freedom Front Plus. Voter, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen.
Why have you decided to join the coalition government?
Well, we received an invitation to become part of the process. It's an agreement of intent, and it's part of the processes that's going to follow the national dialogue, the political council, and so forth. We scrutinized the agreement of intent, and we agree with the principles. We agree that there should be mechanisms to create stability in South Africa to take the country forward, and we want to and should play a part to ensure that stability and to ensure prosperity for all in South Africa through better governance, better policy directions, and we believe that we do have a part to play there.
Are there particular conditions? Are there particular sort of red zones or no-go areas or whatever it is for you? In other words, are there certain things that you need to see in this government for you to stay in it?
Well, at the end of the day, it's about policy, and we will have to see what happens with the national dialogue and in what direction the policy certainty and the policy directions will go for us to play a part and to stay part of it. We can't just not take part in those processes. We have to influence it and carry out the mandate that our electorate gave us to play our part there and to see that we can influence policy directives at the end of the day, because we need policy certainty in South Africa with regards to a lot of aspects that are currently hampering the economy, hampering prosperity and wealth creation. And we believe that in those dialogues and in those processes, we have to see what the outcome of that will be.
It does mean you will be in government with a Pan-Africanist Congress voter. I mean, their priority is for land to be expropriated. And I think many of the people who vote for you are probably farmers or related to the farm industry. Are you really going to be able to work with the PAC?
Oh, it's, at the end of the day, once again, it's about that national dialogue and what policy directives are then followed and not followed. If the wrong priority or policy areas are chosen, and we go with property uncertainty, there's no certainty with regards to property rights, then we can't be part thereof. But we will play our parts, and I believe civil society and business will also play its part to ensure that the right decisions are made with regards to policy certainty in terms of property especially.
We spoke to your leader in the Northern Cape this week, and he confirmed to us that there'd been an agreement with the Northern Cape ANC as one of the conditions for the Freedom Front Plus to vote for the ANC's premier candidate, Dr. Zamani Saul there, that no one from the Northern Cape ANC would seek to undermine the status of Orania. Is this a condition for you to join the national government as well?
At the end of the day, it's about the constitutional right to self-determination. In the Northern Cape, there is the reality of Orania, and that is one of the conditions, that there's the status of Orania is acknowledged in terms of Section 235 of the Constitution, but also the right to self-determination of all communities in the Northern Cape, and then also other conditions that we put in the Northern Cape with regards to infrastructure development and also an oversight role to ensure accountability, especially with regards to local governments in the Northern Cape.
Okay. You say in your statement last night, that the opportunity afforded by participating in the government would be used to ensure accountability by fully restoring Parliament's role. Parliament's role as an institution tasked with effectively overseeing the executive authority and holding it accountable without favouring any single party must be restored. And as I understand what you're saying that Parliament must be able to conduct proper oversight of government. But now you will be in the government, so you won't be able to do proper oversight. If you really believe what you say in the statement about oversight, shouldn't you stay outside the government?
Well, this agreement of intent is with regards to a Parliament of national unity as well. And there's no border between the two at this stage. We believe that we should play a part in this whole process. This is not the formation of a government per se, but it is a process to influence the future of governance, which includes the legislature. And before this election, we had a majority party in Parliament, in the national legislature, which did not really ensure accountability and oversight of the executive. Everything was just done with a majority. This new formation and the reality that the election results brought about will ensure that there can be accountability and proper oversight. The GNU does not undermine that, and we believe that we can play a very, very important part, and that we won't stay out of it just because of that. We will play a part and be part of that to ensure oversight and accountability so that the legislature functions.
We expect a cabinet, the appointment of a cabinet probably this weekend. Do you want a position in cabinet as the Freedom Front Plus?
If we are offered a position, we'll have to go to our structures and evaluate what that position will mean and how we can utilize that position to advance the interests of our policies and our ideals and our electorate. But being part of this agreement of intent does not necessarily mean that we want executive positions. It's not about positions. It's more about playing a part and advancing our policies.
Wouter Wessels, thank you very much indeed. National spokesperson for the Freedom Front Plus, an MP for that party as well. You were there, SFM, 18 minutes after 7. Well, we don't quite know yet when Cabinet will be announced, but for the first time in many years, it is expected to include members from parties other than the ANC, people who are part of the new coalition. And Kenke Kekana is a member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC. And Kenke, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen.
Plenty of reports this morning that top leaders from the ANC and the DA, whether they be negotiators or leaders, are meeting today to discuss cabinet. Are those true? Is there a meeting today between you and the DA?
Cabinet is the business of the president. Is the prerogative of the president, and we don't come in as far as that matter is concerned. Constitutionally, the president is the one that will invite individuals and consult whoever he deems fit before he constitutes cabinet. So we don't get involved as the NEC or the negotiating team, so to say. Ours is to come up with a very broad framework in which parties that are represented in the legislature are able to agree in the spirit of unity, in the spirit of building a united, non-racial and non-sexist country.
Okay, let me put it to you another way then. Would you be very surprised if we didn't see members from other parties in the cabinet? I think that's what everyone's expecting, and I would presume particularly members of the DA and the IFP, the two bigger parties.
I think, we recognize first as the ANC that we did not get an outright majority. And what we did then was to talk to other parties and say, let's come together, let's respect the will and the wishes of the electorate. And we expect that there will be cooperation, both at the executive and also in the legislature. So it wouldn't be a surprise. I mean, a GNU government is a GNU government. It includes other parties, but it is primarily the prerogative of the president to choose the cabinet that he feels will serve the interests of all South Africans. And the cooperation, hello?
Yes, we're still with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. The cooperation will also be at the legislature. So not all parties that join the GNU are going to be in cabinet. I mean, it is impossible to put everybody in a cabinet. So we're expecting that cooperation not only to be in the executive but also in the legislature.
Okay. So I just want to understand this. So the NEC is not consulted on who goes into cabinet and who doesn't. I mean, not even consulted on which members of the ANC go into cabinet.
No, definitely not. I mean, you can't. I mean, it is not possible for a whole National Executive Committee to sit down and say who's going to go where. We have given the mandate to the president, and of course, officials do come in. He will call the officials and talk to them and discuss with them. But ultimately, it is the prerogative of the president to choose a cabinet.
It's been interesting to go through the working documents and the accords and the agreement you've signed with the Democratic Alliance. And I say specifically the Democratic Alliance because together they've got just over 20%, you've got just over 40%. Together you have over 60%. And it seems to me, while the other parties are of course important and part of this, the key relationship may be between you and the DA. And it seems particularly around how decisions are being made. Could the DA stop the government from making a decision? And I'm talking specifically about this idea of sufficient consensus, which is a phrase that comes to us actually from the Cadessa times. But the DA seems to have been suggesting this week that if the ANC and the DA do not agree on something, then it cannot happen. Is that how you understand it?
No, definitely not. We have a constitution in the country. Cabinet is going to take decisions as per the constitution. The legislature is going to take decision as per the constitution, and so is the passing of budget. So, in as far as the discussion between political parties are concerned, obviously there will be a process of consultation on a whole range of issues. Say, for instance, if you table a bill in Parliament to deal with a specific issue, there will be consultation. We'll talk to parties, even those parties that participate in the GNU, right? We'll also talk and say, this is a bill that we think will advance the interests of all South Africans. Can we discuss it? Can we discuss how important this bill is in relation to other bills? So are decisions that are taken from time to time, but the Constitution is supreme. All parties that sign to the letter of intent recognize that it is the Constitution of South Africa that binds all of us, and that is why it is a prerogative. It is a condition for joining the GNU. You must recognize the Constitution. So everything else runs as per the Constitution.
I mean, is there a bit of tension between you and the DA? I mean, Helen Zille seemed to say this week that your Secretary-General, Fikile Mbalula, didn't understand the agreement he had signed on your behalf. I mean, I wonder how you feel about that comment.
Look, it's unfortunate that will be, sword rattling from time to time, but we are working together. We do communicate, and we should expect a lot of politicking that will take place, especially in an environment that we face of a hung parliament. But we are working with all parties. We are working with the DA, and we are hoping that maturity will prevail. The document that the DA is referring to is a document that is before all parties. I think we circulated close to 14 parties for them to consider. So what we have signed with the DA is very, very close. It's not the same as what we signed with the PA. In fact, it was the DA first, and then the PA signed, and then the IFP in the morning. But you must remember the nature of negotiations. Not everything. We will prefer not to discuss every little thing out there in the public. That is why in that document there is also a way of, there is a political council that must meet, but also there is a way of solving problems that might arise from time to time. A hung parliament, does offer challenges to us. It is the first time at national level that there is a hung parliament, and we learn as we go.
So I understand that people learn as they go. Is there still space for people to join the new government? I mean, surely at some point there kind of needs to be stability, and someone needs to say that's kind of enough now, particularly if Cabinet is going to be announced soon and following that the other positions in Parliament. I mean, do you think there's still space for more people to join? 7 parties already, quite big.
In fact, to understand the context in which this document, the letter of intent, is seen by us, the president of the ANC, who was put as a candidate for president of the country, was voted by 283 members of parliament. The speaker 284, and I think the deputy speaker 273. Those members of parliament already made a commitment to vote for a president, a speaker, and a deputy speaker. That is the spirit of the GNU. So the GNU in practice means, in other words, that all parties that are there in parliament will cooperate in the interest of building a united South Africa.
And Kenke Kekana, thank you very much indeed. Member of the National Executive Committee for the African National Congress. 27 minutes after 7.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai, good morning. T20 is moving along very quickly. England.
Yes, it's a big one today. Heinrich Klaasen and the boys ready to give England a proper run for their money. It's a highly anticipated match. England aiming to rebound against the Proteas following their heavy loss in their previous encounter. The Proteas, led by Heinrich Klaasen, have shown remarkable resilience and adaptability, securing vital wins against tough opponents. England are coming off a convincing win against the West Indies, and they're looking to secure a semi-final spot with a win today. Both teams poised for a thrilling contest, England seeking redemption and the Proteas aiming to maintain their winning momentum. The match starts at 4:30. More cricket news. Surya Kumar Yadav smashed 27 ball 50 as he led India to a 47-run victory over Afghanistan during the Super 8 stage. India posted 181 for 8. Afghanistan were dismissed for 134 off the last ball. Rugby, the Boks have arrived in London, gearing up for their first test of the season against Wales on Saturday. That's tomorrow. With minimal time zone difference, the team quickly settled into their routine. Assistant coach Mzwandile Stick emphasised their comprehensive preparations back in South Africa, allowing for a full day rest upon arrival. Stick highlighted the mix of experienced players and eager newcomers, making for an exciting match tomorrow.
And I think a strong team selected. Some youngsters getting opportunity, but I think the fact that you can make your debut and get into a Springbok setup where there's not wholesale changes, but still lots of experience around them, will certainly help. So I'm excited about the game and just the test season as a whole, because it's a massive year for South Africa.
Soccer now. England manager Gareth Southgate admitting that his underperforming side needed to do better following a 1-1 draw with Denmark in their second Euro 2024 group match in Frankfurt yesterday.
We're disappointed with the level of the two performances we've had, so we've got to go and analyse that in depth and find some solutions to addressing the issues that we have. We know the level has to be higher. We know the level can be higher. Maybe the biggest thing is we have to accept the environment that we're in and the expectations that are around us.
The other match saw Serbia. They had a 1-1 draw with Slovenia, keeping both teams in contention for a place in the last 16 of Euro 2024. And finally, tennis. The top seed Coco Gauff reaching the quarterfinals of the Berlin Ladies Open, beating the second round opponent Ekaterina Alexandrova 7-6, 6-2. And Gauff will next face the 2022 Berlin Open champion, the Tunisian Ons Jabeur. More sport coming up, top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Zai, thanks very much indeed. In the next 10 minutes or so, you'll hear from the new National Assembly Speaker, Toko Didiza. You're with SFM leading the conversation, 7:30.
Good morning. In the headlines, the ANC Women's League says it's keenly waiting for President Cyril Ramaphosa to announce his new ministers and deputies, hopefully today. It has, however, expressed its disappointment at the appointment of only 2 women premiers in Limpopo and the Free State. The Limpopo provincial government has moved to defend the decision to appoint the embattled Treasury MEC, who was dismissed as the Director General at the Department of International Relations and Cooperation in 2021. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
It's still very heavy coming through mid-Rand. Today on the N1, there's the usual backlog of traffic just heading down towards Olifantsfontein Road. Not as extreme as normal, but there is that backlog to work through. And then it gets heavy from New Road as you join a queue across all lanes down to a crash at Buccleuch interchange. Pretoria down towards Joburg, even though it's a fairly light traffic there across the country. That section of N1 into Buccleuch is heavy. Also a bit of drama around Galuli's big stationary truck stuck on the N3 North ramp to the N12. Just one lane open to process all of that traffic off the N3 out towards the airport or out towards Boksburg and Benoni. So the queue is extensive right deep into Alberton and back through Elands into Germiston. And the other issue at Galuli's is a crash on the N12 and R24 routes as they come in from the Ekurhuleni side and just jam up in towards that collision scene. The closer you get to Galuli's on the N12 and R24 routes, the heavier that traffic gets. Just looking at the N11 situation out in Newcastle Ladysmith, big truck crash there. 3 trucks colliding. I'm just looking for the latest update. I've seen something coming through. It was really heavily backed up. It looks like the trucks have been moved off the road, so that should start to ease traffic Newcastle through to Ladysmith. There was a big backlog earlier. Durban, no traffic lights. Bel Air Road and Rick Turner, if you're coming up past Chief Albertuli Hospital, some extra delays to work through on top of the roadworks. And Cape Town, well, we've termed it an easy Friday. All the routes into the city centre that are normally jammed just aren't. It's school holidays, and it's probably a work-from-home Friday preference. Very easy conditions. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
In Taoleng, morning again. How are the markets this morning?
Well, in Asia, stocks took a knock following a decline in technology shares. The Japanese yen has also come under scrutiny after 6 consecutive days of declines, raising concerns about a potential intervention from the Bank of Japan. Sticking with Japan, traders are also digesting inflation numbers from that front. Consumer prices rising to 2.5% in May. So with that, the Nikkei pretty flat, up slightly 0.02%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng is down 1.8%. In Wall Street, futures are flat, slightly in the green. Investors on that end chewing on some economic data. And back at home, the JSE losing its momentum with the all-share closing 0.8% lower, fueled by a slump in the Financial 15, which lost 1.6%. And the Rand, in the meantime, making slight gains despite the downbeat mood. It's currently sitting at 17.96 to the dollar.
And then Standard Bank's earnings growth slowing.
Well, Stephen, in an update, Standard Bank said earnings for the 5 months grew by low to single digits, a big difference from the near 30% jump in profits it recorded in its last reporting period. Now, higher average interest rates and increased client transactional volume supported its income, but lower trading revenues weighed on its overall growth. Another measure that gauges banks' performance is its credit impairments, and during the period, impairment charges were slightly higher. Standard Bank noted increased charges in business and commercial banking and personal and private banking. However, this was partially offset by lower charges in corporate and investment banking, which performed better. Now, the group says it'll release a more detailed update in August. Meanwhile, analysts were quite unhappy with the above numbers, punishing the company as it ended the day losing 1.2%.
And Harmony Gold updating its targets for 2024 positively.
Well, Harmony is proving that all that glitters is gold, Stephen. That's as the miner says. It will surpass its production, grade, and cost guidance. When looking at its update closely, Harmony says it will exceed its production target of 1,550,000 ounces and surpass its grade guidance of 6 grams per ton. And it's managed to keep all-in sustaining costs below the anticipated 920,000 per kg. Its capital expenditure in the meantime is expected to be slightly under the guided 8.6 billion rand. The company's CEO, Peter Steenkamp, said this was achieved on the back of the progress in its long-term strategy started in 2016 when he stepped in as the top boss. Now, in recent times, Harmony has also been boosted by the higher gold price, which has helped the miner strengthen its balance sheet and keep a good cash position.
Intaleng Lechele, thank you very much indeed. Intaleng, back of course on Monday. More business news through the day here on SAFM, 24 minutes to 8.
Stephen Grootes on SAFM.
All right, good to hear from you this morning. You know the number 086 000 2032. And don't forget, an hour from now, your story of the week. Meanwhile, as the new government is slowly being formed, and we expect a cabinet sort of fairly soon, maybe over the weekend, Parliament is now having to manage itself. It must prepare to sit again fairly soon as well. And the person who was elected Speaker of the National Assembly last week is Toko Didiza, and she joins us now. Madam Speaker, good morning, and may I say welcome back to SAFM Sunrise.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Good morning to you and your listeners.
You've been in the job a week now. It's one of the most important jobs in the country. I think people forget that you now head the legislature arm of the state. How have you found the first week? And I imagine it's been pretty busy.
I must say, Stephen, that it's not quite busy as yet, but indeed some work has already been done because, as you know, that after swearing in, we have to then ensure that the House representatives of various parties meet to form the Rules Committee, and that's going to happen next week. And the Rules Committee, in terms of our rules in Parliament, have to set up other structures. And thereafter, there will be a programming committee which will then work out the program of Parliament. And one of the important part of the program, as you say, is the State of the Nation address, where the President would then be able to address the nation on what the 7th administration would focus on. We also have to revive the budget and ensure that the new cabinet is able to articulate how they are going to use the allocations that they've been given. So there are a few things that we're going to do, but another one is the swearing in of members of the MK party who were not sworn in last week.
So, I mean, do you know yet when they're going to be sworn in? Is the date been set for that?
We are looking at Tuesday, but obviously we have to consult with the Chief Justice because in terms of our electoral system, the first sitting where members are sworn in for the first time in a term is done by the Chief Justice. And thereafter, when there are vacancies, the Speaker will then do the work.
Okay. Would you have to have all of the other MPs to do that? Or could they just be, I mean, I think I've seen pictures in the past of, you know, a new MP being sworn in by a speaker in an office. Would it be that kind of ceremony or would it be something a bit bigger than that? It's 58 people, I think.
Well, it's 58 people, but it doesn't require all other members to come to Parliament for that sitting. It would only be those members that have not been sworn in, which is the MK party in this instance.
Is there any time limit or any date on which they have to be sworn in by? Is there a deadline by which this needs to happen?
There is no deadline, but we would appreciate that it happens soon so that they can be part and parcel of those engagements with other parties in the setting up of the structures of Parliament.
Okay. As I understand the rules of Parliament, and it's sort of been explained to me, but I've never been someone who spent much time in Parliament, but an MP cannot be absent for more than 3 weeks without some sort of explanation. I don't know if that applies, though, to people who haven't yet been sworn in.
Well, remember, Stephen, that once elections happen and the allocations of seats have been done by the IEC, and a list of MPs as having been received from parties is gazetted, those members are already members of Parliament. What happens is that before they start their duties, they then have to be sworn in and take an oath of office. So they can then start with their work. Those who have not been sworn in, they cannot actually participate in activities of Parliament.
Okay. For the first time, we have the Speaker, yourself, from the ANC, and a Deputy Speaker from the DA, Annalise Grootes. Do you think you and her will be able to find each other? Have you already found each other? Do you think you'll be able to work together?
We will be able to work together. Both of us have been members of Parliament for some time. She was in the 6th administration, as I was, even though I was in the executive. But as members of Parliament, we are aware of what the responsibilities of the offices that we hold are and the need for cooperation among ourselves. The meetings that we've already had to just have a sense of where things are in Parliament, we've already had that together, as well as the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces. I do not foresee that there will be any challenge. Both of us are matured enough and appreciate what the task that we have is supposed to be.
We see the person in the position of Speaker in public, sort of dealing with MPs and making rulings. But there's actually a lot of other stuff, as I understand it, that goes on behind the scenes. And sometimes in Parliament we've seen, real difficulties. There was a strike by Nahawu a few years ago. There's been the big fight over the salary of the Secretary to Parliament, Kolila George. Is there a particular way in which you want to manage the administration? There's a lot of other things that I think you'll have to do that we won't see quite so much, but are really important to Parliament. And I mean, it would be nice, I think, for everybody if during your term over the next 5 years, Parliament gets a new building.
Well, already the processes of construction has started, even though in a situation like that, you'll start with the demolition because there has been a building. But what you need to do now is to actually remove what was banned and therefore start the construction process. So that work has already been started by the 6th administration. We're coming in at the time where some of those processes are already undertaken, but we will obviously have to oversee and ensure that that building of the new House of Parliament is concluded. As you say, that there are other responsibilities other than just sitting and directing the work of the debates when it happens in the House. Most of the work would obviously be administration, ensuring that the functionality of Parliament is optimum. We do give support to members in order to do their task. We also have to ensure that the administrative arm of the institution, which is supportive to that institution, functions fairly well. We also have to ensure that in terms of Parliament's participation in multilateral fora where it is a member does happen. We also have to ensure that members who have to sit in the Judicial Services Commission are elected. Members who sit in the SADC Parliamentary Forum are also elected. Members who sit in the Pan-African Parliament as well as the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. So these are the multilateral bodies where Parliament is regulated, and the representation of Parliament there happens, and we have to ensure that those elections take place in the House when we sit next.
And Madam Speaker, dealing with MPs, and I mean, I think sometimes being in that position, being in your position now, must require a huge amount of patience. You know, there are interruptions, there are interjections. There was an important promise last week that there would be no more disruptions, things like that. I think, if you look at the formation, we're going to have a sort of big kind of coalition government, and then we're going to have, two big parties on the other side who won't be part of it. That's how it looks at the moment. Are you worried about that? How are you feeling about actually managing these big moments when there's a lot going on and people keep interrupting and interjecting? And point of order, Madam Speaker.
Well, fortunately, Parliament operates within particular rules that are set up by its members through the representatives of various parties who form the Rules Committee. So there is a guide of how members need to handle themselves in the debate of Parliament in terms of language that is acceptable and not acceptable, and the kind of behavior that is acceptable and that's not acceptable. That's why at times you would find that the Speaker, if the member does not abide by the rules, and even if he or she is reminded but continue to persist in a manner that is unbecoming, at times the Speaker has to ask the member to leave the House. But I hope we'll be able to have a robust Parliament, yes, that debates, persuade one another on issues, but at the same time, that is done within a particular conduct that is acceptable to the electorate and to the members themselves.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much indeed for your time on SAFM, and I really appreciate it. And I think it's going to be an interesting 5 years.
It will be an interesting 5 years, not just for the legislature, but I'm sure it will be an exciting moment for all of us to see how the members working collectively within the Government of National Unity are going to actually perform. But collectively, again, the country, in terms of our electoral participation, has given us 18 parties that are going to be participating in Parliament who actually won the votes from the electorate to be part. So it will be exciting, I think, for the country to see how those 18 parties will actually represent the electorate in that Parliament.
Toko Didiza, Speaker of the National Assembly. Ma'am, thank you for your time on SAFM. 14 minutes now to 8 o'clock.
At SAFM Radio and at Stephen Grootes on Twitter.
SAFM invites young people between the ages of 18 and 35 to take over the airwaves this youth month. All you have to do is send a WhatsApp voice note or text to us on 061 410 4107 or email info@safm.co.za, and the show you would like to co-host, telling us what are the two compelling issues facing our 30 years of democracy, and we could be calling you. Terms and conditions apply.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Steve on the line from Centurion. Steve, hi, good morning. The new government, go for it.
Stephen, how are you?
I'm
Look, man,
well, yeah.
Stephen, I think, let me first congratulate Togo Didiza. I think she's a very strong woman who will take on EFF, but it's okay. Stephen, I think everyone is allowed to join the Government of National Unity if invited.
Yeah.
But I don't hear any outcry from DA. When EFF, FF Plus joins now, they were crying a lot when PA joins, but now they are quiet. So this is simply a racism, Stephen. That is what, yes. But I think really things like this must be picked up within DA and then deal with this issue of racism. Look, Stephen, DA is 30 years old, from 1994.
Okay, well, sorry, Steve, just hold on a couple of things. I'm not entirely sure how you get from the Freedom Front Plus attacking the DA to the Freedom Front Plus joining the government to racism.
No.
Just explain that to me.
The Freedom Front is now prepared to join the Government of National Unity.
Yeah.
DA is not saying anything. There was outcry when Mackenzie was invited.
Oh, okay.
Remember,
now I'm with you. All right, I get you now. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. But now, I think this issue of
look, it's still
racism,
early, Steve. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from what you say, but I don't think anyone's contacted the DA on this yet. But anyway, continue with your point.
Yeah, but my issue here, Stephen, is that I think the issue of racism within DA is structured and need to be dealt with because it's hurting the party. Look, Stephen, from 1994, DA was there and everything. But DA should not be hovering around 20% now. I think DA should be in the position of government now.
Yeah.
But because it's issues like this that hold DA back. But I expect the black leaders within DA, they can take this head on, but they can't because they are scared of Helen Zille. From where I'm sitting, Stephen, Helen Zille, sorry to say this, but she's a loose cannon that needs to be contained within DA, or else she's a threat to this government of national unity. That's my contribution, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve and Centurion. All right, appreciate that. Lungelo and eThekwini, hi, the ANC.
Good morning, Stephen, and good morning to your listeners. So, I've been following the ANC from a strategic perspective, and especially within the GNU. I think it's quite interesting how they've turned things around, how they've been very patient, and how once the president is in, they're now literally taking a more forceful role where the DA is now being told, you're actually not a partner, you were invited.
Yeah.
You have the same status as the PA and everybody else. And if you look at KZN, with a mere, 17%, they're sitting with three of the biggest departments from a budget perspective. They have the speaker, yet they don't have the responsibility to the people to say we are the government. So if anything goes wrong, that's sitting with the IFP, with the premiership.
Yeah.
But in everything that goes right within health, education, roads, and housing, which is basically government, if you look at it, honestly, arts and culture is important, but it's not really that big, if we're being honest. So just they were dealt cards, not the best of cards, but from where they're sitting and from where it seems to be going, they've just basically became kingmakers in making themselves kings because they know that the DAs have played their cards. They'll never go with anything with the MK.
Yeah.
The MK and the EFF have played their cards. So they know exactly that everybody there doesn't have a choice but to go with the ANC.
Yeah.
There's also from being weak.
Yeah, to being strong. It's the benefit of also being the biggest party, 40%.
Yes, it is. But at the same time, they literally could have been weakened. But understanding everybody's cards and how everybody has played their cards too quickly, they now realize that actually we're not weak. Actually, we are the kingmakers, and actually we can make ourselves kings. Because if the DA can't really throw their toys out the cot, because where are you going to go? Are you going to move out of the GNU and allow the NK and EFF to go in? They'll never do that. So they have the DA exactly where they want them. And part of that is because the DA has overplayed their hands to a point where the ANC has had to reconfigure, re-strategize, and reposition themselves within how things are set up. It's actually quite interesting to watch, to be very honest with you.
No, Lungelo, absolutely it is. Thank you on the line from eThekwini. Very interesting, actually, to see how it plays out. Lots of thoughts in different directions, I think, at the moment. 8 minutes to 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Stays very slow on the M1 South through Midrand this morning. It's in an earlier crash scene down at Buccleuch interchange. All lanes are open, but there's some activity on the side. And Friday peak volumes pushing a queue right back almost to Olifantsfontein. So plenty of delay action through Midrand on your way to Joburg this morning. Also a crash at Galuli's, the N12 and R24 routes. It has been cleared, but the R24 from Edenvale coming to Galuli stays busy. And coming the other way, the N3 North stays super heavy out of Alberton and Germiston. Big queues running into Galuli's because of a massive stationary truck that is stuck on the ramp off the N3 onto the N12 and R24 eastbound carriageway. So particularly if you're on a journey from the southern side of Joburg and you've got a flight to connect with the airport, the N3 is seriously going to have you running late. So off-ramp at Elands and go through Boxburg, or off-ramp at Heldnace and reroute through Germiston. Local routes are pretty open, but the highway is a real big mess this morning. Just an update, Newcastle through to Ladysmith. A big crash there earlier this morning involving 3 trucks. The trucks are largely off the road, but there's going to be some recovery at some point, and that'll cut in and cause delays. That collision scene is just south of Newcastle towards the first of the Dundee exits. Roadworks just outside Quebec on the N2 around the Seaview Road, Seaview through to St Albans. A little bit of queuing traffic at that particular work site this morning. Cape Town looks all right. It's an easy Friday, although there's a big delay popping up on my screen on the run into Khayelitsha Spine Road, turning off the N2 down to Jeff K. Masemola, quite slow. And a reminder, if you're travelling this weekend out to or from Mossel Bay, between Cape Town and Mossel Bay, there's a ton of roadworks between Albertinia and basically Petro SA, particularly around the Grootes River area. You can wait it up to 3 control sections on that section of the N2. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Hey, what's up, South Africa? Mzansi, Msizi Shembe from Metro FM. Do join me on Saturday at 6 p.m. as I'll be on Deal or No Deal Celebrity. Looking forward to see you there.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
6 minutes now to 8 the time. Good to hear from you this morning. You know the number. Well, the City of Cape Town now granted what's described as a final eviction order by the Western Cape High Court. This means that hundreds of people who've been living on the streets will no longer be allowed to illegally occupy public spaces in the city centre from the 1st of August. This is around what's been described as the tent cities in the Cape Town CBD. The Mayor of the City of Cape Town is the DA's Jordan Hill-Lewis. Mr. Mayor, good morning.
Morning, Stephen. Good to be with you.
Why are you going to move these people?
Well, a lot of these homeless tented encampments were established, so to speak, during the COVID years, during the lockdown, and even before that, actually. And the issue has become much more acute in Cape Town over the last few years, with many, many hundreds of people living homeless in tented encampments around the CBD. And it is not conducive to a thriving CBD. It comes with a lot of drug problems, alcohol problems, a lot of petty theft. It is not clean. It is not dignified for the people living there in those tents. And so we have tried over a long time to offer a full suite of care packages and interventions to those people. We have spent a lot of money building very dignified alternative accommodation, but we always understood that if many of them, and we knew that many of them would not accept that help voluntarily because of the state of mind and state of life that they are in, that we would have to rely on the courts for help. And we have now done so. It's been a long process, but we are offering a very, very caring and dignified alternative to every person who is on the streets.
Okay, are you providing them an alternative place to live? What kind of place are you offering?
Yes, we have built what we call the city's safe spaces. And in the last 2 years, we've added more than 1,000 of them, 1,000 beds rather. And our largest and biggest one is about to finish in about a week's time. And so they are kind of dormitory style accommodation with bunk beds. They provide two hot meals a day. They provide a social worker on site to offer care every single day. They offer a nursing sister once a week, referrals for addiction treatment and alcohol and drug treatment. They offer a whole lot of training programs for job finding and helping to get your ID book and so on. So they are actually really wonderful facilities, and we've built a lot of them the last 2 years precisely with this in mind.
There are people who oppose you in this, and there's been a long legal battle. NGOs, a couple of them did say that these people should be allowed to remain there. And I think their argument is that this is a public space and so people can live there. Why do you disagree with that so strongly?
Yes, I disagree with that very strongly, and I think the vast majority of reasonable people do disagree with that. Public spaces are for the public at large. They must be safe. They must be reasonably clean. They must be open for the public to use, and these spaces are not. They have become essentially reserved for the exclusive use of those people living in the tents. Members of the public do not want to go near them because unfortunately they are very associated with lots of petty crime like cell phone snatching and so on. And there's lots of drug use, some often open drug use that happens there. That is not an appropriate place for people to live. There are no services there. There are no toilets. There's nowhere to wash. So these are just not places that people should be living. It is not dignified. It's not clean. It's not healthy for them, and it's not healthy for the city and the CBD. So we have to act to get those people into an alternative and get them the help that they need to start to rebuild their lives.
You know this better than I do. There is a large movement of people, part of urban migration that we've seen in South Africa for decades, and people moving into the city of Cape Town. It's particularly difficult for you for various reasons. So are there better ways to find places for people to live? Are you looking at better ways to manage this very large group of people? It's unstoppable. I mean, let's just be clear. There are people who say you can stop this migration. I think are just wrong. It's happening in Joburg. It's happening in other cities, eThekwini too, but in Cape Town particularly. Are there other ways to manage this sort of urban migration?
So, firstly, it is unstoppable. I totally agree with you, and nor do we want to stop it. I mean, we love that people come to Cape Town. They are by and large looking for better opportunities, a chance to get work. By and large, but let's be quite clear that people who choose to live homeless without any sanitation, without any place to store their goods or to wash, those are not people who are simply poor and who have come to the city looking for opportunity. Because, of course, I'm always at pains to make this point to people and to the court as well. There are lots and lots of homeless people in South Africa. People who live in informal settlements are also, in a sense, without a formal home. But they do not choose to live on the street in those very, very undignified conditions. So people overwhelmingly, and we put this evidence to the court, and I'm glad that they accepted it. This is not exclusively true, Stephen, but it is overwhelmingly true that people who live on the street have some kind of other underlying trauma, whether it be an addiction issue, whether it be a very serious domestic abuse issue that has led to the kind of explosion of a family unit. Their family has kicked them out because of theft, whatever it is. There's some other underlying trauma. And the difficulty for local government is that we find it very difficult. We don't have the staff and the means to deal with those other traumas like domestic abuse and all of the substance abuse. But we have to deal with the symptom, which is actually the person living on the street. And that makes it incredibly hard.
Jordan Hill-Lewis, thank you very much indeed, the Mayor of the City of Cape Town. You with SFM leading the conversation. It's 8 o'clock. Essential cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. SMS CAR to 43517 now.
In our top stories, ANC Women's League awaits President Ramaphosa's cabinet announcement, and US rejects Netanyahu's claim it's withholding arms shipments. Good morning. The ANC Women's League says it's keenly waiting for President Cyril Ramaphosa to announce his new ministers and deputies, hopefully today. It has, however, expressed its disappointment at the appointment of only 2 women premiers in Limpopo and the Free State. The ANC failed to secure an outright majority to form a national government and has approached other political parties to form a government of national unity. Women's League Secretary General Nokuthula Nqaba says they are not happy at the possible regression of women representation in the 7th administration.
It's a setback. Women's League, we are indeed disappointed, and I would assume that even women across the country, they also feel the same. We are disappointed because from the previous administration in the provinces, we already had 2 premiers, and one would hope and wish that the ANC, according to its principles, would have improved in that area instead of having 2 and having 3 and more where possible. But we still have to engage on the matter. The ANC is aware of our disappointment, but we're hoping that as an opportunity afforded, we will take the matter further up with the officials of the ANC.
Impeached Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe is the designated leader for the Umkhonto weSizwe party in Parliament. Hlophe has confirmed to SABC News that he will be leading the country's 3rd largest party in the National Assembly. However, the 58 MK members who were scheduled to be sworn in the National Assembly's first sitting last Friday did not attend. The sitting saw the election of the Speaker, Deputy Speaker and the President. The 58 seats allocated to the MK party remains theirs. Hlophe's confirmation that he will lead the party in the national legislature could signal the imminent swearing-in of MK party members. The Limpopo provincial government has moved to defend the decision to appoint the embattled Treasury MEC, Khabu Mahwai. Mahwai was dismissed as the Director General at the Department of International Relations and Cooperation in 2021. His dismissal was related to a 118 million rand tender for offices and accommodation for South African diplomats in New York in the USA. The DA's Limpopo leader, Lindy Wilson, says Mahwai cannot be trusted with Limpopo's public funds.
Well, to be absolutely frank and honest, we have some serious concerns with the cabinet that she's announced, particularly with the MEC of Treasury, Mr. Khabu Mahwai. And he is a person who was axed by the Department of International Relations and Cooperation for 118 million rands worth of irregular expenditure trying to buy land in New York. So that is a red flag for us.
Meanwhile, Limpopo provincial government spokesperson Ndabi Ramahuela has hit back at critics, saying the High Court has since exonerated Mahwai.
The matters that you refer to, indeed, we are aware of that there was a employer-employee relationship that was terminated through a process that was defined as a dismissal at a particular point. And that issue has been dealt with from their side of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. The process that the Premier has used for appointment is mostly her prerogative on the names that are submitted from the provincial legislature. As you are aware, he was initially sworn in as member of the provincial legislature.
The Senzo Mahiwa murder trial is expected to resume this morning at the High Court in Pretoria following an early adjournment yesterday. Advocate Charles Mnisi, the defence for accused number 3, requested to be furnished with further details regarding a map reflecting the Greater Vosloorus area. Witness photoconforensic supervisor Pinky Vaithaligam was due to give evidence on the distance between cell phone towers and the crime scene. Mahiwa was gunned down in Vosloorus on the 26th of October 2014. 5 men are currently on trial for his killing. Further afield, and finally, the White House has rejected accusations by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that the United States is stalling military supplies over concerns about the use in Gaza. Netanyahu had complained that some weapons and ammunition were being withheld. Washington says only one shipment of bombs had been held up. The BBC's Tom Bateman reports.
This is a very, very deep security relationship. Israel is historically the biggest recipient of US military assistance ever, if you count it up year by year. So that relationship really always remains sort of untouched by this. But the entire issue of arms supply has become a lightning rod for protest and dissent over the numbers of Palestinian civilians killed in Gaza.
Recapping the top story, the ANC Women's League says it's keenly waiting for President Cyril Ramaphosa to announce his new ministers and deputies. Hopefully today, it has, however, expressed its disappointment at the appointment of only 2 women premiers in Limpopo and the Free State. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
And thank you. And that's the news for this hour. Theft, accident and R1 million liability cover, all covered by OUTsurance Essential. Get a quote today, SMS CAR to 43517. Did you know that with OUTsurance Essential, valid claims are paid out in cash? Let me say that again. OUTsurance Essential pays your car insurance claim in cash. That's cash paid into your bank account that you can use to repair your car at any panel beater of your choice. OUTsurance Essential for cars older than 5 years, not financed and valued at under 125,000 rand. SMS CAR to 43187 for a quote. That's CAR to 43187. SMS now, licensed insurer and FSP, T's and C's online.
A very good morning to you in your SFM Sports headlines. It's rugby. The Springboks ready to tackle Wales in the season opener tomorrow. And in cricket action, Australia, they triumph over Bangladesh in their T20 World Cup match this morning. All this and more just before 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, the M13 Midrand starting to move. An earlier crash all cleared off the main carriageway at Buccleuch Interchange. All lanes are open, but the traffic looking a little bit easier. Indications that things are moving better, but still very sluggish from New Road all the way through to Buccleuch Interchange. N3 North stays heavy out of Germiston and Alberton all the way to a breakdown inside Gululis on the link to the N12 Airport Highway. If you're in a hurry to get flight connections from the south, you want to avoid the run towards Gululis this morning. Heavily backed up on that N3 North. The N11 south of Newcastle, busy again this morning. This is the run from Newcastle through to Ladysmith, both directions, just on the northern side of the first Dundee exit that you'll get to coming out of Newcastle. So lengthy queues there, 3 trucks involved, and that all being recovered. Cape Town, Annandale Road, that takes you down towards the R44, just south of Stellenbosch. They crash in there. That's quite a heavy delay. If you're coming from the Baden-Powell side, moving through to the 44 on that section of Annandale, it's very slow. And just a reminder of the 3 sets of roadworks, Albertinia, Mossel Bay, if your thoughts are turning to weekend travel out towards the Southern Cape, Albertinia side of Grootes, Mossel Bay side of Grootes, and then again out by the Petro SA complex. And there's more roadwork disruption between George and Wilderness, delays on that section of the N2 as well. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
SAFM Sunrise. A vivid start to your day.
9 after 8, good morning. You're with SAFM Sunrise. I'm Stephen Grootes. So much to talk about this morning. We'll play our Auto and General competition in just a moment. Looking forward to that. We'll talk about WhatsApp calls too. We'll try and find space to check in with the National Festival of the Arts underway in Makhanda. Lots to look forward to, 10 after 8.
Think bigger than just a banking partner. Think a team of specialized experts supporting you to make better financial decisions to enable your growth aspirations. Think a strategic partnership, providing indispensable advice to help you make the right moves. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
Delve into the intense personal journeys of individuals whose bad choices have led to severe consequences. Where each episode unpacks these transformative stories told through raw, first-hand experiences of those who lived them. It's a hard-hitting and emotional exploration of real-life struggles, showcasing the heavy price of redemption. Channel your best reality with My Secret Enemy, Mondays at 6 p.m. only on S3.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Let's go to Northwest. GS, good morning. GS is GS short for General Secretary.
Yes, that's GS most facing. Good morning, Stephen. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well. Go for it. The political landscape.
Stephen, you know, people on the ground are crying and saying the ANC sold out by coming into coalition with the DA and all these other political parties, that especially your white-dominated political parties.
Yeah.
But for majority of us, we've always wanted to nip this power of the ANC. We are the children of the ANC. Most of us, black society, we are the children of the ANC. But the problem is the ANC on the ground has forgotten their objective, of serving the people. And that is why we wanted, to dilute a little bit this power so that they can realize that they've forgotten about the people on the ground.
Okay, so you're saying, that this is that this is kind of the outcome people wanted.
We wanted to nip this absolute power that the ANC, because it turned them to arrogant leaders. They felt that they are untouchable because they are entitled to be the leaders of society. So we needed to nip a little bit of this power for them to go and regroup, especially our leaders, to go and regroup on the ground, to go and engage the masses on the ground and hear the people. Because, look, they are a liberation movement. They are fighting for people. For some of us, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents were members of the founding members of the ANC. But because the current leadership have forgotten, they are detached to society and what's happening, the reality of what the people are facing on the ground. And that is why we wanted to nip them a little bit so that they can go and regroup and ensure that they go back to their visions and objectives of why the ANC was formed.
All right, GS in Northwest, I hear you. Thanks very much indeed. 13 minutes after 8.
Stephen Grootes on SAFM.
This competition is brought to you by Auto and General Insurance. Stand to win your share of R30,000 in the Auto and General Combine and Qualify competition. Visit www.safm.co.za to enter. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online. Auto and General is giving you a chance to win your share of R30,000, the Combine and Qualify competition. All you have to do is go onto the SAFM website and complete the entry form. You might be the lucky contestant to get a call from us, and we'll present you with various objects that you can insure. If you combine the correct two that meet the qualifying criteria for a private advisor, you win R5,000. And the qualifying criteria is that the goods need to be worth over R1 million. If you got an obligation-free insurance quote from Auto and General, you'll win an extra R1,000, which would mean you would win a total of R6,000. It's that simple. Terms and conditions apply. You know how we play this? You have to put two combinations together to get to over R1 million. Joseph is our contestant this hour. Joseph, you entered on the SFM website. Good morning. How are you feeling?
Auto and General Insurance. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Joseph. Are you feeling lucky this morning?
Hey, I don't know, man, but I think God will be with me.
Okay, let's see. All right, you know how it works. So, for you to qualify for the private advisor service, which two options would you combine to get you above the collective amount of R1 million? You need to have R1 million worth of goods to be insured to qualify. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to give you the options now. Imagine you live in Cape Town in a home valued at R3.3 million. Your car is R750,000. Your partner's home is R350,000. Your laptop costs R35,000. Your golf clubs are worth over R20,000. I need two items. If you combine them, you would qualify for an Auto and General private advisor. So, Joseph, to get above R1 million, is it the house? Is it the car? Is it your partner's home? Is it your laptop, your golf clubs? Which of those two items will get you above R1 million, Joseph?
A car, a house.
Joseph, congratulations. You're a winner. Okay, you are right. So, yes, the car and the house together get you over R1 million. Now, Joseph, I've got a question for you. R1,000 riding on this. Did you get an obligation-free quote from Auto and General before playing the competition with us this morning?
Yes, I did.
You did. Yes. Joseph, congratulations. You've won another R1,000. That's R6,000.
Wow, I'm happy. Wow.
All right, Joseph, stay with us, please. Joseph, congratulations. You've won R6,000 this morning. Also got the obligation-free quote from Auto and General before playing the competition. So, similar to private banking, this private advisor offers customers with a specialized service of having one point of contact when it comes to your insurance. For more information, you can visit Auto and General's website, autogen.co.za, to find out more and apply for this service. This competition was brought to you by Auto and General Insurance. Never not there. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online. You have it for banking, so why not for insurance? Auto and General has just introduced their exclusive new private advisor service. It's perfectly tailored for customers with more to cover, but less time to spend covering it. If you have more than a car to insure, and car and home, and your combined cover is valued at over R1 million, you qualify for this personalized service and will enjoy after-hours assistance, proactive policy management, and more. To apply, visit autogen.co.za. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
SAFM Youth Month Takeover. SAFM invites young people between the ages of 18 to 35 to take over the airwaves this Youth Month. All you have to do is send a WhatsApp voice note or text message to 061 410 4107 or email info@safm.co.za. Tell us which show you'd like to co-host and what the two compelling issues facing our 30 years of democracy are, and we could be calling you. Terms and conditions apply. Call us on 086 000 2032.
17 minutes after 8. Jacob on the line from Meadowlands. Jacob, hi. The traffic lights in Joburg. Go for it.
Hi, Stephen. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Go for it, Jacob.
Yes, Stephen, I'm on the road time, and I've observed that before the elections, most of the robots were not working. And then come the 29th, and voila, a lot of robots are working. So I'm not sure whether was it some sort of a sabotage or what was happening, but I'm happy because then with what was happening, a lot of accidents might have happened, and a lot of people lost their lives, and all because of what? Politics.
Well, Jacob, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you would think of load shedding. We haven't had load shedding for ages. You would think that things like traffic lights would start to work properly now.
Let's hope so.
Okay. All right, Jacob on the line. All right, Jacob on the line from Netherlands. Thank you. Dekele in Cape Town. Dekele, hi. The ANC. Go for it.
Yes, SG, how are you?
I'm well, Dekele.
I want to support the statement that was made. I think it was SG from Northwest.
GS, yeah?
The ANC is paying the price now.
Yeah.
They became so arrogant. They became so entitled because they thought, obviously, we're going to vote for them. Now it's a good lesson. Jacob Zuma did not fall from the sky. It is a monster they created themselves.
Sure.
Although we're telling them this guy's going out of line, they wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
Now they turn around. We must listen to them. When they say Zuma is a monster. So it's a good lesson. You must get a taste of their own medicine.
Dekele, that's a really interesting point, yeah.
Sure.
All right, Dekele in Cape Town, thank you. Hein on the line from Cape Town. Hein, hi. Are people living on the streets in Cape Town? Are homeless people in Cape Town? Good morning.
Morning, Stephen, also to you and the listeners. Hein Weinhardt from the organization Cape Forum.
Yes.
I enjoyed your interview with Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis, and while listening to the interview, I was hoping that other cities would learn from the city of Cape Town, equally to other provinces learning from those who's got certain best practices that others can learn from. For too long, there was an unwillingness by political leaders to learn from each other simply because the one belongs to a different political party. So I'm basically hoping that this new excitement about a government of national unity will also filter through to the level of provinces and metro councils or municipalities to simply say, let's do what is right, what is the best for whoever is staying there, as opposed to not wanting to copy or duplicate the best practice, regardless of who's governing.
So you support the city in Cape Town in moving people from the streets?
I do. It is not a good thing. It's an eyesore, in fact, Stephen, to see how people are living under bridges, trees, or wherever they put up those tents, simply because there was a court order saying they have the right to stay where they are living now. What I like particularly is the comprehensive plan that the mayor shared with you and us, the listeners, when he spoke to you. So it's not simply a matter of kicking people off the street. It is removing them into more dignified spaces. And I know from very, very personal experience, as in family experience, that often you offer and the person that you're trying to help does not want to take that help for whatever reason.
All right, Hein in Cape Town, Hein Wingard there. Thank you. 21 after 8.
The Trilidor Ultimate Big Blue Sale is now on. Get amazing discounts on the best security South Africans trust. With over 50 franchises across the country, you can always find a security expert near you. So call 0861 Trilidor or visit trilidor.co.za today. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey there! Need to know your TV license balance but don't want to wait? No sweat! Just send a quick SMS with your ID or TV license number to 44210. Remember, standard SMS rates apply. And presto, your balance pops right up anytime, anywhere. It's as easy as pie. So why procrastinate? Give it a try and get your info in a flash. T's and C's apply.
The Science of Life on SAFM.
22 after 8. So I don't know if you have this, but I have some people in my family who like to make phone calls on WhatsApp and some people who like to make calls on the normal phone system. And I've got to tell you, if it's me, I use the normal phone system. And I use the normal phone system because I can't stand the lag that you get on WhatsApp. You know, when you're not sure if the person's heard you and you have to say it again and all of that, which drives me mad. I like the sort of natural sound. I think it's a more natural sound from an old-fashioned phone line. But I know not everyone feels like that, and one of the main reasons is simply cost. Jan Vermeulen is the editor at mybroadband.co.za. I would say he's on the line, but he's not. He's on WhatsApp. Jan, good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so the way we're talking to you now is much cheaper than the old-fashioned way, right? And you've done the maths.
Yeah, much cheaper. So we look, it's a difficult comparison because you have to choose what data bundles you're going to compare and so on. But looking at just like a standard 1 gigabyte monthly data bundle compared to some pretty generous costs for making phone calls, you are looking at like WhatsApp calls are almost free by comparison. Like you're talking about a 95 to 99-ish% differential between the two. That's how much cheaper WhatsApp is. And so even though WhatsApp bills both sides of the call, because it eats data on both sides, right? Unlike a normal phone call, which only bills the one party, even then WhatsApp is just so much cheaper.
Is WhatsApp easier for the networks to do? Is data less expensive? Is there a particular encryption or something that makes it so cheap? I mean, I imagine the cell phone networks are going to find a way to compete around this.
They've really been struggling, and I think they would love to, but no. It's not like that. It's cheaper for them to do this or anything like that. It's just basically got to do with the fact that there's been huge competitive pressure on the price around the price of data, plus the eye of government on specifically the cost of data, and so they've had to drive those prices down. And as the cost of data has come down, it's just made WhatsApp calling ridiculously cheap by comparison. And they would love to continue billing per minute for phone calls. It's what's allowed the networks to grow into the powerhouses that we have today, and why we have 99% to 100% population coverage. They've been able to invest aggressively into their networks as a result of the profits they were making. But the new world order, as it were, is data. And their voice revenues have plummeted and are continuing to plummet.
I mean, for people now, if you have Wi-Fi, right? If you're in an area, if you're at home you've got fiber, whatever it is. I mean, it's so cheap now that people, I'm sure, are sitting with their phone on to their colleague through the day, not always talking, just both of them in their separate offices, talking as you do in a normal office. And people probably do this with video screens as well. You know, you just leave it on because it's become so cheap. It completely changes the way you live.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's actually crazy to think about that. You can leave a Twitch live stream on if that's your kind of thing. And it's a similar kind of concept. For cheaper than it is to make a phone call. And as where you'd need to have like an intercom system before, or an internal PABX or phone system in a company to do what you describe, without bankrupting the company. Now you can just do it over a WhatsApp call. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously with remote work, you saw people actually do that. So not even in the same building, but sitting at home, they'd open up a Zoom call and just kind of leave it on throughout the day.
I've seen some reports that companies may try and bring back SMS. I mean, I hardly ever use SMS now, but some of that technology might be changing.
Yes, so the mobile network operators have been getting behind a technology called RCS, Rich Communication Services. Google has backed it as well and put it into Android. And very recently, like literally this month, Apple finally announced support for RCS in its Messages app. There was a huge fight about it in the United States. It's not really relevant to us here in South Africa. But the operators, really got behind this technology as a potential competitor to WhatsApp. I think, I would also be quite salty for literally giving up mobile instant messaging to what they call an over-the-top player like that. They just handed the market to WhatsApp. WhatsApp was a drop-in replacement for SMS, and it just utterly decimated their revenue there, and then attacked them in the most lucrative part of their business, which is voice revenue. Skype tried, but WhatsApp is the one that actually did it at the end of the day. And so, they would love to claw back some of that market share, but for that to happen, WhatsApp has to mess up big time. And I think they're praying that they mess up with the implementation of these ads.
Jan Vermeulen, thank you very much indeed, editor at My Broadband. Appreciate it. 28 after 8.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai, good morning. Save the whales will be the cry tomorrow.
Save the what? Well, let me tell you, the Boks, they're fired up, ready, and they are expecting a thrilling clash against Wales in London tomorrow. It's the first test of the season. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. kickoff. The Boks are the favourites to beat Wales, especially after putting 50 points on them in another World Cup warm-up match in Cardiff last year. The Welsh teams also didn't perform well in the United Rugby Championship this season. Let's hear now from the Boks coaching staff, Mzwandile Stick.
Lots of experience around them, will certainly help. So I'm excited about the game and just the test season as a whole, because it's a massive year for South Africa.
On to cricket action, Pat Cummins claimed the first hat-trick of the ICC T20 World Cup as Australia beat Bangladesh by 28 runs this morning in their Super 8s opener in Antigua after rain delays forced the result to go to the Duckworth-Lewis system. Cummins dismissed Mahmudullah and Mohamed Hassan with the last two balls of the 18th over and Toy Dridoy with the first ball of the 20th over as Australia restricted Bangladesh to 140 for 8. Australia were 100 for 2 wickets lost when heavy rain set in after 11.2 overs, well ahead of the winning score it needed at the time. Now, Bafana captain and Mamelodi Sundowns number 1 goalkeeper Ronwen Williams' uncle Maurice Camillo has recalled how he converted him from a striker to a goalkeeper, and as we said, the rest is history.
You see, okay, there's quite a few mischievous, but as I told, I won't expose Roman. When we played against the bigger teams, let me put it like that, then I'll tell Ronman, I need a job. You must do a job for me today. And that job is in the post, gloves. And then we play the middle teams to the Ronman. You've got a new job today. Boots, score goals for us. And then I think I said, Ronman, it's going to stop now here. No man all-rounder. You're now going to now be a goalkeeper for me. And I just discovered him. He done the rest.
That's a wrap of Sunrise Sport Friday edition. We'll have more on SAFM around 12:30. I'm Zai Khan.
Zai's decided to stop here. You with SAFM, your story of the week. That's next. 086 000 2032 830.
Good morning. In the headlines, the ANC Women's League says it's keenly waiting for President Cyril Ramaphosa to announce his new ministers and deputies hopefully today. It has, however, expressed its disappointment at the appointment of only 2 women premiers in Limpopo and the Free State. COSATU says the ANC in Limpopo province failed to consult with them on time on the formation of the government as part of the tripartite alliance, and the Pay the Grants campaign has questioned why social relief of distress grant beneficiaries are required to verify their identification through SASSA's newly introduced biometric identification process. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. It's a remarkably easy Friday. Hopefully you've been enjoying an easier run to work than what we've had for the first 4 days. A couple of incidents, though, that have been getting in the way of things. The N3 North, the stationary truck inside Galilee's interchange, still there. You drop down to a single lane coming off the N3. Squeezing through Galilee's onto the R24 and the N12 routes out towards the airport or Boksburg Benoni. The backlog of that traffic still stays heavy from about Voortrekker Road on the N12 in Albert. And the other issue is the Mike 1 South, Maclew down towards Marlborough Drive, looking quite slow. Lengthy delays for anyone travelling between Newcastle and Ladysmith, both ways being held up by truck crash recovery just on the southern side of Newcastle. If you know that area, coming out of Newcastle, the crash scene just before that first of the Dundee exits that you'll come across. Cape Town looking all right as well. The highways there moving very nicely. There is a crash, though, causing some delays between Baden-Powell Drive and the R44 Strand Road. That's on Annandale Road, moving in towards the R44. That's quite a backlog of traffic to get through that. And if you're travelling away for the weekend, just again, a reminder of loads of roadworks, Albertinia through to Mossel Bay, about 3 sets of roadworks there. And then you'll pick up some more delays due to roadworks between George and Wilderness, and some more between Sedgefield and Knysna. Just add yourself extra time to get through that if you're travelling Southern Cape this weekend. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Stephen Grootes on SAFM.
27 minutes now to 9 the time. All right, your story of the week, 086 000 2032. What for you's been the biggest issue this week? Let's start with France and Cape Town. France, you've been on hold for a while. Homeless people, the issue, I presume, in Cape Town, France. Go for it.
Good morning, Stephen, and good morning, the SFM listeners. Yes, indeed, I'm very, very excited, actually, to hear the mayor speaking and articulating what they've done for these people. But to say that I'm excited, it's in the sense that I empathize with these people so much. I'm a resident of Cape Town. As I'm speaking, I'm in a bus going to town because I have to get off there every single day. I empathize the way I see these people living, the conditions are not very good for them. And just on that, not long ago, one of my co-workers was stripped naked, almost. His sling bag taken, wristwatch, shoes. Those people are a danger at night, especially after 10 p.m. and going on forward. So it's really actually a good thing. I wonder for these NGOs who actually stand for these people and criticize the state of Cape Town by not moving these people to safer and dignified places. Actually, it's a good work done by the city of Cape Town. Thank you.
All right, Frans, thank you. All right, quite a lot of support from the city of Cape Town so far on this. I wonder if other people agree. I know there's been a big argument about this. What should happen to the homeless people living in that area? Very interesting. Goodwill in Sharpeville, Goodwill High. You want to talk about the CODESA negotiations? Good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
I'm well, Goodwill. Go for it.
Yes, and I just have a question, Stephen. Why don't we have access to the CODESA in negotiations? Like in public, you can access them. Why?
What do you mean? You mean like the documents and things like that from that time?
Yes. The details of what happened, CODESA, what did they agree with? Why don't we have them in public?
I am amazed. I think they would be in public. Have you looked? I've never looked, but have you looked?
No. I've tried to check, but there was something that they talked about with WhatsApp that there's an agreement somewhere there, but I'm not sure. But I think the reason why I'm not sure. There's something that ANC agreed with the then Apartheid that they don't want us as the public to know.
So, Goodwill, I think all of the CODESA agreements, and I'm no expert, but I think they would have been sort of superseded, taken over by the Constitution. So, you know, the new government the ANC came into power in 1994 as a result of the elections that were agreed to at CODESA. There was the interim constitution. There was a constitutional assembly chaired by Cyril Ramaphosa, and then in 1996 there was the new constitution. And so the new constitution, I suspect, really is the final agreement. If you want the agreement, that's probably the agreement. If you see what I mean.
You think so? Is the final agreement?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything really secret that I can even think of from the CODESA times. I know a lot of people have this idea that there was a sellout or something, but I don't see where that came from. You know.
Yeah. All right. No. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Sure. Goodwill, thank you. On the line from Sharpeville. Nigel in Etiquini, Durban. Nigel, hi. A DA failure, it says here.
Yes, thanks, Joe. Stephen, good morning. I've been thinking for some time of why the DA seems to be stuck on 22% of the national vote. It seems to me that it doesn't attract the number of black voters that it wants to attract, that it should attract. It makes mistakes that it could avoid. Now, I'll mention three of them that occur to me. It has an overwhelmingly white leadership, and I'm sure they're very capable, and I think John Steenhuisen's a very good man. But it seems to me unfortunate that a party which has only 7% of the vote of the population in the country should be so visibly overwhelmingly white. It's important. the party should look like a party that has the interests of the black at heart, which of course it does. Ever since Helen Suzman left the NRP more than 60 years ago because of its white supremacy, white leadership with justice, ridiculous slogan, meaning we want white supremacy, but we won't be as harsh as in that. That's one thing. So I hope the leadership can be made more multiracial. Secondly, I think it wrong to just say that they're against BEE. Of course, they're for black economic empowerment, but what they're against, and they should make this very clear to the ordinary black voter, they're against BEE, meaning black elite enrichment.
No, I see what you mean. So they're not against the principle of making black people richer. They're against the policy that's being followed at the moment.
Exactly, and they should make that very clear.
Yeah.
And thirdly, Stephen, I think it wrong. There may be a sophisticated economic argument for it that I don't know, but I think it wrong for the party to say that they are against the minimum wage. Again, the ordinary black voter, which is the one they need to appeal to. The ordinary black voter thinks, oh, you actually don't want us to improve our lives, you know? You don't want us to prosper and so on.
Yeah. So Nigel, I mean, I think you make very important points. I mean, I do wonder if some of what the ANC does is deliberate strategy. You know, I mean, the advert for the flag, you know, that saw the flag being burnt and reassembled at the end was deliberate strategy. You know, it wasn't a mistake. And I think there's a specific part of the population that they are it's a deliberate strategic choice they're appealing to. And I must just say this, you make the point correctly that the white population is, I think, 7% now, but the turnout among white people is much higher than it is among many other groups, which is important.
Yes, it is.
Nigel in Durban, always appreciate the call. Thank you very much indeed. Moses in Bramley, it's been a long time. Moses, hi. John Hlophe, the new MK Chief Whip.
Yeah, Stephen, happy Friday.
And to you. Shortest day of the year. Go for it.
Yeah. You know, Stephen, it shows really that this MK party, all the crooked people, all the people who aided the state of capture, the likes of Tom Moyane, you will see them on this party. It looks like we've got a party that doesn't have interest of all South Africans. Mina, that is why I support this GNU. Though some characters within it, they are still having their tendencies. But maybe they will learn that we should have embraced brotherhood and push this country to prosperity. But with this Mkonto, I know, these are characters. I just also wanted to speak about the case of Malema. You know, I'm not a fan of Malema anymore. But with this one, I think he's being targeted. Because, Stephen, when you attended funerals in townships, Soweto, if a comrade passed away, there are people who discharge heavy machinery.
Yeah.
And police are there during the police presence, and nobody is held accountable. Let these people leave Malema alone. I'm not a fan of Malema, but give the man a space to breathe, please.
All right. No, Moses and Bramley, thank you. Interesting points. Bond in Gqeberha. Hello, Bond. John Hlophe, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. Let me stop. I want to talk about two things, the one of John Hlophe and the one of the GNU.
Yeah.
I was shocked for the second time now to learn that there's a second official of one of the highest institutions in South Africa, the organ of state being the judiciary, and the other one being a Chapter 9 institution, first by Busisiwe Mkhwebane, after being impeached and joining EFF, now John Hlophe. My worry is that the ordinary man and woman in South Africa watching all this is not going to have faith in the Afroism, or saying that was made by Lord Hewart in a 1923 England case when he said, not only must justice be done, it must be seen to be done.
An aphorism. Sorry, I had to think about that.
What is it?
Aphorism.
Aphorism, yeah. Once they look at judges now, yes, they know that privately they go to vote once in 5 years. It was a secret vote. Now, if they sit there and watch them hearing cases regarding political parties, they won't have faith that they are impartial. So it affects the dignity of the judiciary as well as the high as well as public protector. I think it is imperative upon all those that are occupying to understand that not only must they entertain their neutrality whilst in office, even outside. Rather, like Chilima Donsela, join an institution like Stellenbosch or University. Don't go there. It's like there are two interpretations about this. It's a cynical response to say, you impeached us, now we're going to be part of you. We're not going anywhere.
It's
That's what it means.
yeah. I mean,
or also a way of survival. Like the impeachers, there are no benefits. We have to have a salary. Then they are accepted. Sorry, what were you saying, Stephen?
No. I mean, I agree. I think it does allow people to question every decision you made while you were in office, and that's really the problem. And I mean, like for example, in the case of was it Bongani Bongo, who John Klope eventually basically let off, and now the SCA has overturned that decision. Now, I don't think anyone could have said, "Oh, there was a motive," but now people will ask the question, and that's the problem.
And it's eroding confidence in public institutions and our conservative democrats. The last one of the GNU, to me, I agree with you. I know we don't refer to it as GNU. It's shaping up to be GNU. In my humble opinion, it's a multi-party government because 24% of the voice of the voters is not there, being the MK and the EFF. If, we're rushing against time because we had 14 days to put this thing together. Germany had 6 months, Finland had 2 months, there's no time. But I'm saying to the ANC wise men and women and the elders, continue to extend the hand of invitation to the MK and to EFF because both parties were in the same political womb of a fully free and transformed South Africa. There's no way you can allow Freedom Front Plus in the GNU and not allow those parties. Lastly on that...
Okay, Bond, I'm sorry, I've let you make 2 points and I'm going to have to move on. I'm sorry, Bond. We do like to hear from you, but we'd have to move on. 16 minutes to 9, you're with SAFM, your story of the week. Leonard on the line from Craddock. Leonard, hi, homelessness, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. It has been quite a long time to speak to you.
Indeed, sorry, yes.
I just want to comment about what the mayor said from Cape Town.
Yeah.
This is very, very important. Really, these people are suffering. And I really wish all the mayors in the whole country, if they can take that step, it will be something very, very beneficial. And look, in winter, you see those people, how they're suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the other thing also, Stephen, is that, I just want to comment something quick about constitution. When the MK said that they want to change constitution, they didn't mean the entire constitution. But in the constitution, there are certain things really they need to look after them.
Leonard, they say in their manifesto there shouldn't be a constitution at all.
No. You need a constitution, but
but that's not what they say. They say there should not be a constitution at all. That's what they say.
No, you need a constitution, but certain things need to be changed.
Yes, no, Leonard, sorry, I think we may be misunderstanding each other. I agree. I think you do need a constitution, but MK does not believe that.
Oh, I see. Yes,
is what I'm saying. Yeah, MK says there shouldn't be a constitution. Anyway, continue.
Okay. From that, I'll give you an example. If you have a firearm, in the constitution said, for example, a robber comes, God forbid, kill your family. You can't shoot that robber behind his back. That is against human rights because if we can understand the definition of human rights, I have a right, you have a right.
Yeah.
So if a robber comes and kills your family, you can't chase him behind him and shoot him behind him. It means he can go commit more crimes.
Well,
that will need to be changed.
Yeah, Leonard, there's, as I understand the sort of latest judgments on that, you can kill in self-defense, absolutely, but it gets a bit more complicated. But Leonard, I think I understand your point. Leonard on the line from Craddock, thank you. Martin in East London, the GNU, the Government of National Unity. Hi.
How's it?
I'm well, Martin, go for it.
Yeah, hey, my mind is very conflicted. I'm stuck between right and wrong here.
Right and left,
in the government, yes. What I can say, the Government of National Unity is actually overwhelmingly far better than what I wished could happen.
Oh.
Because I actually wished that ADA could just take over so that the ANC learn the lesson and then we'll bring it back on the next elections. I love my ANC, but they've done so well in the past 30 years. It would be wrong to say that to look at all the wrongs and forget the good deeds that they did. You know. I just have a lot on my mind. I don't even know where to start. But in the case of MK and Zuma, I hear people criticizing Zuma and just project him as this evil man, and like the media projects him. But in the words of Shakespeare, fair is foul, foul is fair. I'm not sure. I think that was King Leo. I stand to be corrected. You know, I don't think Jacob Zuma is crazy. We don't know what is going on as citizens behind closed doors. There are reasons why he's behaving the way he's behaving. I'm not condoning his behavior. I think what he's doing is wrong. But that is just my opinion. But I cannot pass judgment without knowing what is going on behind closed doors.
Well, Martin, I don't know about that. I think we do need to judge people on what they say and what they do. And if Donald Trump says to Americans, "I'm going to build a wall," or "I'm going to," if he says he's going to do certain things, we should believe that's what he wants to do. And the same must apply to politicians in our country, if you see what I mean. So, I think we can judge people, and I think we all made judgments when we voted. I don't think we can say we can't judge people because there might be something else. I think down that road is great difficulty. I think we must judge people on what they say and what they do, and it's our right to.
Yeah, that's right. You're certainly correct, because politics is a subject of opinions.
Yes, absolutely.
So nothing is really factual, because we don't know what is going on behind closed doors. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Look, I know, and I've reported on things, and then years later found out so much about them. Someone writes a book or something.
Yeah, you know better because you are in the media space.
No, sure. But what I'm saying is that often I will look at something and I'll have a view on it, and then years later I'll find out something else. So I partially agree with you, but we still can judge people, is what I'm saying. I think we can pass judgment.
Yeah, but what I can say is fair is foul, foul is fair. Let's just wait.
Okay. Well, it's your right to wait too, Martin.
History will tell, man.
Yeah. All right. No, Martin on the line.
There's no sense in this thing.
Yeah. Okay. Martin, thank you, on the line from East London. You were there, SAFM, 11 minutes now to 9 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Still very slow up that N3 route this morning from Alberton and Germiston, queuing up from the Elands interchange all the way through to Galulis. It's that stationary truck inside the interchange, taking you off the N3 onto the N12 and R24 eastbound routes that has been causing the problem. It's a big truck, and as you come off the N3, you squeeze into a single lane past that. The R21 leaving the airport, some roadworks in between the Benoni and Bubsfontein exits. That's quite heavy. That's unusually heavy for this time of morning. If you're leaving the airport on your way towards Pretoria, factoring queue time there, the R21 south at Clayville is queuing as well today. A major truck crash that we've been detailing between Newcastle and Ladysmith. That is still causing delays both ways. That collision scene just on the southern side of Newcastle as you go down, passing the dam area towards the first of the Dundee exits. If you're driving out of Pietermaritzburg, always worth checking the state of the N3 these days through the roadworks, Ashburton, Cato Ridge area. Looks clear. We've been telling you it's been an easy Friday. Another indication of that is the N2 moving up through Spaghetti Junction, Umgeni Road. No sign of that daily backlog, so that's a result. Cape Town's been a very gentle run through the traffic as well. Maybe a little bit of a hold up on the elevated freeways. You come into the foreshore, but nothing too desperate to work through there. And all those roadworks, I just want to remind you about these. If you're on the N2 going out of Cape Town, you want to travel out towards Rebecca side, you've got roadworks just outside Botrivier. You've got 3 sets of roadworks between Albertinia and Mossel Bay. You've got more roadworks between George and Wilderness, and then you've got a backlog going through Knysna and Sedgefield with some more roadworks. There's a big arts festival on at Mkanda. If you're heading out for that and you've got an arrival time, just make sure you've got extra time to get through all the roadwork stoppages. Rob Burton, SAFM Traffic.
In the heart of darkness, a beacon of light emerges. A brand new season is coming your way with your 2024 Miss South Africa Top 30. Hosted by our reigning queen, Miss South Africa, we embark on a transformative journey. Join us for the spectacular new season of Crown Chasers.
Crown Chasers is back.
Starts 29 June at 8:30 p.m. only on S3 Open Up.
SAFM invites young people between the ages of 18 and 35 to take over the airwaves this Youth Month. All you have to do is send a WhatsApp voice note or text to 061 410 4107 or email info@safm.co.za and tell us which show you would like to co-host and what are the two compelling issues facing our 30 years of democracy, and we could be calling you. Terms and conditions apply.
Stephen Grootes on SAFM.
Your story of the week, you know the number 086 000 2032, 8 minutes to 9. Mlenze on the line from KwaZulu-Natal. This issue about MK and the Constitution. Go for it, Mlenze.
Stephen, my brother, man. I respect you, my brother, man.
Yeah?
I respect you, my brother, man. Just get me a clip, my brother.
A what?
Just get me a video clip or a voice clip.
Of what?
Where a leader of MK party is saying does not believe in the Constitution.
It's in their manifesto, Mlenze, that they put online on their website.
Brother, I've got a manifesto in front of me here. I was part of compiling the manifesto. We don't have such a thing, my brother.
It says you want to move our country, this is the quote, move our country away from constitutional supremacy towards unfettered parliamentary supremacy.
Let me unpack it for you, my brother. Let me unpack it for you. There are a variety of democratical legislations that exist in the land or in the world.
Sure.
One is a constitutional one, and the other one is a parliamentary one. By saying we want to implement the parliamentary one does not mean we don't subscribe to the existence of the Constitution. But it only means we want to make the parliamentary one to be the supremacy on this land. Those who are voted in the position of power or to be in parliament must be the one who determine the trajectory of the country. It does not mean disregard the word constitution at all, my brother.
But that's not the way I understand it, Mlenze, because parliamentary supremacy means that Parliament makes the decisions, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so they
yes.
make.
And
They
there are
could.
countries who are
Sure.
ruled or run in that manner.
Okay, I'm not
There are
aware of
countries.
examples, but that's that. We don't need to go into that now. But
Russia, my brother.
Okay.
Yes.
So if Parliament is sovereign, which means that Parliament is the boss, Parliament could decide, and this is the sort of classic example people use, Parliament could decide that we don't like left-handed people and all left-handed people must go and live on Robben Island, right?
No, my brother. No.
That's what that means,
No,
and the
Stephen,
Constitution is
Stephen.
what stops that from happening.
Stephen, I respect you, and I respect the position that you hold there at SAFM. You are our mouthpiece as the public of South Africa. Please, before you take any position, just ascertain or get more information on the matter before you go on air and articulate on behalf of a political party. Just ascertain, get information.
Well, I read the document. So explain it to me then. So do you want to keep a constitution but not the constitution we have now? Would Parliament be able to, if Parliament is sovereign or parliamentary supremacy, as you put it in your document, would that mean that Parliament could make a decision against the constitution?
Right now, Stephen, with due respect, my brother, right now, the courts are the ones who determine our trajectory. But we, as MK Party, are saying the Parliament should be the one who determine our trajectory because those are the people who are voted in a position of power, not the courts. The courts are appointed, but the parliamentarians are voted.
So yes, I understand that. But would Parliament be able to do something that's unconstitutional?
My brother, the Parliament is the one that is going to draft the Constitution. In fact, we are not going to throw away the Constitution, but we're going to make minor amendments. But now the media people are saying the MK Party is going around and saying they will throw away the Constitution. Hey, that is, when you speak like that, I'm smelling the DA. When someone speaks like that of MK Party, I just smell the DA. I said, this is the DA.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Mlenze, I will go and read your manifesto again.
My manifesto, and contact me again. I will put my number there and call me back again. Thank you very much.
All right. Mlenze, thank you. We'll try and take your number, but I appreciate the time. Interesting. Mlenze there on the line from KwaZulu-Natal. Thank you. Says he was involved in drafting the MK manifesto. Joy in Soweto. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
I'm well. Go for it.
I'm good, man. I just want to oppose the person that...
Mlenze, yeah?
Yes, Mlenze. I mean, if we're talking about the Constitution, Stephen, Constitution is the rule and is the supremacy of the law in South Africa. So in terms of their manifesto, there are things that are delinquent to the Constitution. For instance, I remember President Zuma said he was against the gay people in South Africa.
Yeah.
There's a delinquency of the Constitution, and it's in their manifesto, Stephen. So they are delinquent in terms of the Constitution. He must accept that there are things that they are in their manifesto that they don't coincide with our Constitution. And Stephen, I just want to say, now we are in the GNU. With the GNU, we need to go forward. We don't have to criticize, and let's implement and go forward. That's what we want as a country.
All right. No, Joy in Soweto, thank you for that. Look, all right. I mean, there can be lots of arguments and people can disagree over a document that they've both read. It does happen. Intelligent people can argue about it. We can have different opinions about it. But certainly, I said what I said in response to what someone else said. So, yeah. Ronnie on the line from Durban, I think you're going to have the final word this morning. The Government of National Unity. Go for it.
Good morning, Stephen, and to your listeners. Stephen, I must comment on the ANC accepting the loss and the manner in which they're negotiating with the multi-party, the various multi-party within the Constitution. I mean, for an organization that was the majority and to accept the loss, it's much commendable.
Yes.
But at the same token, I also blame the leadership of the fall of those numbers. Coming in, I've been a lifelong supporter of the ANC.
Mm.
They have sidelined the minority races, and they became a national African nationalist party. I'm living in the South Basin of Durban. This 25 years, leave the 5 years of Madiba. He ran the country excellent. You've put in a development in Chatsworth. But since then, we couldn't even get a sporting field upgraded in the Merebank, Wentworth, Chatsworth vicinity.
Yeah.
The arrogance of the eThekwini municipality.
Right.
This is cascaded from the leadership level. And Cyril Ramaphosa needs to take the responsibility because he always comments and he says, collectively, we take responsibility. So he now needs to build this organization or skip aside.
Ronnie on the line from eThekwini. Thank you. Final word this morning, your story of the week. Well, as you would expect, a busy show today. There's a lot going on. We should have a cabinet at some point this weekend. From Mdu, Stanza, Mpo, Melissa, myself, look after yourself. We will see you again on Monday morning. Are you going to be the new communications minister, Kathy? I did wonder. I mean, I'm not.
I mean, if I'm going to risk it all, Stephen, why don't I just go for number one, right?
Wow.
Okay, before we start some controversy, OUTsurance will go out of its way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand, SMS out to 30754. Now that's good news.
In our top stories, ANC Women's League awaits President Ramaphosa's cabinet announcement, and City of Joburg and City Power ordered to settle Eskom debt. Good morning. The ANC Women's League says it's keenly waiting for President Cyril Ramaphosa to announce his new ministers and deputies, hopefully today. It has, however, expressed its disappointment at the appointment of only 2 women premiers in Limpopo and the Free State. The ANC failed to secure an outright majority to form a national government and has approached other political parties to form a government of national unity. Women's League Secretary General Nogutula Ngaba says they are not happy at the possible regression of women representation in the 7th administration.
It's a setback. Women's League, we are indeed disappointed, and I would assume that even women across the country, they also feel the same. We are disappointed because from the previous administration in the provinces, we already had 2 premiers, and one would hope and wish that the ANC, according to its principles, would have improved in that area instead of having 2 and having 3 and more where possible. But we still have to engage on the matter. The ANC is aware of our disappointment, but we're hoping that as an opportunity afforded, we will take the matter further up with the officials of the ANC.
The Congress of South African Trade Unions in Limpopo has lamented the exclusion of leaders of the alliance in the Premier's Executive Council. COSATU says the ANC in the province failed to consult with them on time on the formation of the government as part of the tripartite alliance. Premier Poppy Ramathuba announced 10 MECs on Tuesday. COSATU's Provincial Secretary Hangwani Mashau says they are looking forward to meeting the ANC to discuss their concerns. For Maluleke reports.
In a statement, COSATU says the absence of workers' representative in the executive is against the principles of the Tripartite Alliance. The statement says lack of broader representation is a regression to the past where alliance partners were cast aside. The Trade Union Federation says the ANC is supposed to broadly reflect the components of the alliance in its own decisions and activities and those of the state. COSATU is appealing to the ANC to ensure that there is a proper and thorough engagement with the alliance partners before important decisions are taken.
The Pay the Grants campaign has questioned why the social relief of distressed grant beneficiaries are required to verify their identification through SASSA's newly introduced biometric identification process. The organisation says hundreds of grant recipients have complained that they cannot access their grants due to the new verification process that was introduced to fight fraud. The campaign's Elizabeth Reiters explains.
Biggest fraud is actually happening at retailers. Because the retailers, you just go to ShopRite and you go with the cell phone number and then you can withdraw the money. That's where most of the fraud is happening. If your bank has already verified you, that is your bank account. That is our argument. Why must SASSA still verify you? Why is SASSA then not verifying beneficiaries that's getting paid at retailers if they are combating fraud?
The High Court in Johannesburg has ordered the City of Johannesburg and its power entity, City Power, to pay Eskom over 1 billion rand, including interest for its unpaid electricity account. Eskom says it took the city to court due to it defaulting on its electricity account since October 2023. The city, in response to Eskom's court application, submitted a counterclaim against Eskom for 3.4 billion rand, alleging potential overbilling, and as a result, it has applied an automatic set-off against Eskom electricity account. Eskom Gauteng spokesperson Amanda Ngiti.
When the matter was heard on 4 June 2024, the total amount owed to Eskom by the City of Johannesburg and City Power was 3.4 billion. The city, in response to Eskom's application, brought a counterclaim against Eskom for 3.4 billion, alleging potential overbilling, and that as a result, it had applied an automatic set-off against the electricity account. Furthermore, the court dismissed the counterclaim by the city with costs and dismissed the automatic set-off claim. Eskom has written a letter to the City of Johannesburg and City Power demanding payment of the full amount of 3.4 billion by 21 June 2024.
A 36-year-old woman will appear in the Hoopstad Magistrates Court in the Free State today after being arrested for the murder of Pitso Eric Makoko, who went missing on the 10th of this month. Police in Hoopstad followed up on the information, which led them to a shack in the area. The body of the victim was found covered with a blanket and a jacket. And finally, the 50th annual edition of the National Arts Festival in Makhanda in the Eastern Cape is officially underway in the city. International and local visitors have flocked to the City of Saints to experience one of the biggest and longest running arts festivals in the country. Festival CEO Monica Newton says the next 10 days will be abuzz with creative freedom.
We're presenting the work of new artists, student work, young voices, people that you've never met before. We're presenting voices that we've not seen at the festival for